Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Big Freaking Friday Show on the College Football Mafia Network. I'm your host, Nathan Bomber Brown, and with me are my partners and also co-hosts in crime on this great Friday evening. That would be the Wild Ute and the one and only Moen After Dark. How we doing tonight, guys?
Living the freaking dream. Happy freaking Big Friday Show, you guys.
Moen?
Absolutely. Living Livin. Living, man.
Living La Vida Loca. Is that what you're
Living La
say?
Vida Loca.
I appreciate everybody being here with us tonight. I think we have an exciting show that we're going to talk about. What is the realignment next step for the Big Ten? Who might qualify for that realignment call-up? It should be a lot of fun. We invite everybody to get involved. Make sure you follow all of us on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Turn on your notifications on YouTube and on Twitter. That way you know when we're coming around, we're going around, and you can be a part of that. We want you to be a major part of the College Football Mafia family, and the easiest way to do that is to become subscribed and turn on those notifications. That is where it's at. Made it through another fast week in a summer that has just flown by. Before we get into anything else, let's do quick shout outs. That way we can jump into the meat of the show. I'm going to start off right at the top, and we'll just go from there. Laura Weiss is the first one in the house. Good to see you, Laura. Laura's a moderator-in-chief around here and obviously a valuable member of the College Football Mafia family. Stormy Cyclone checking in, saying, hello, guys. 15 days till fourth quarter Rocco. Oh, boy. Cannot wait. Football's just around the corner, guys. Are you jonesing yet?
Game. What a game. Oh, yeah, I'm jonesing, man. Are you kidding me? This is awesome.
I'm going through major withdrawals at this point. Ryan Willie checking in, saying he's third. Good to have you here, Ryan. Ryan also did a $5 super chat saying, hi, College Football Mafia. Big Ten will probably add Notre Dame and Miami and then stop. What do you guys think about Ryan's comment there?
Yeah, I don't think that the Big Ten is going to be stopping at Notre Dame and Miami. We're going to get to a lot more of that when we get into the tier maker. You guys, we're going to break down all of the Big Ten targets, everything that we've heard. We're going to break it all down tonight. We're going to give you the real analysis. We're going to put teams where they are in the tiers. It's going to be crazy. You're going to have to listen to this one. So Notre Dame, Miami content coming up real soon.
Sorry, Ryan. I wish I had a Lee Corso. Not so fast, my friend. I guess Greg has revealed it on his show. I will reveal it as well. I spoke to Greg. Miami is not on the short list of Big Ten schools.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody could be on a short list of anything right now. There's still so many balls in the air.
Right. Everybody's still a candidate. I'm just saying the schools that were on the short list he mentioned yesterday, Miami is not one of them right now. They need to get their shit figured out with Wisconsin.
I still can't believe, having talked to Rock a couple times this week, there is definitely a lot of, what do you want to call it? There's crap in the air as far as it comes with Miami and the Big Ten in general, let alone Wisconsin. So that'll be fun. We'll talk about that tonight. Want to sort of preview that and get everybody involved as we look forward to the rest of the show.
What is
Absolutely.
Miami
Let me
doing,
give, let me
guys?
give
What-
Ryan. Let me give
Yeah, go
Ryan a
ahead.
little sounder here, real quick, guys.
Please
Give
do.
him that
Yeah,
Badger
go ahead.
sound. Right.
Badgers might be blocking the Hurricanes.
And you were just going to say something.
I don't know what Miami's thinking right now. I have no idea at this stage of the game. We're talking about realignment around the corner. It's going to happen over the next few years, guys. And what in the world are they thinking about pressing this issue more and more? It seems like complete foolishness. And so on the tier maker that we're going to be making, that's going to be reflecting for sure. And Moen's going to give the a little bit more of the lowdown here on what's going on with Miami.
I can't wait to just participate and watch and take it from the cheap seats. It's going to be a fun conversation. We invite everybody to stick around and be a part of that. So thank you very much, Ryan. Great to see you tonight. Kenar Bowman. Kenar says, will you include those in the Big 12 who might have a shot?
Of course.
I don't think anybody is limited just out of the just off the top, right? There's no closed-ended argument here.
No, I mean, there's always new targets that could emerge and get some chatter around them. Like based on the analysis that I've done on candidacy, based on the data, based on the sources, based on everything, there's about 15 schools, guys. And Big Ten's not expanding by 15. Some of the SEC is going to take, but there's 15 schools that have a realistic shot, outside shot, been some discussion that we're going to talk about. If your school's not on the list and stuff, doesn't mean that they can't emerge in the future. But you know what? Let's just hedge this right now. Let's talk about Texas Tech, guys.
Go ahead.
What do you think about Texas Tech and the Big Ten? Moen, I'd like to get your thoughts.
Yeah, Texas Tech is. I don't know who's on the short list, but I don't think Texas Tech is on there. I really don't. I don't think any Texas school ends up in the Big Ten.
My opinion is I wouldn't look if somebody's willing to pay the freight and certainly subsidize other programs in the Big Ten. Let's just talk about a Minnesota who doesn't have a huge upside with money from year to year. Somebody's going to come along and write them a big check just to be added to your club. I wouldn't rule anybody
there's
out.
a difference. Okay, but there's a difference between a Duke writing a check and a Texas Tech writing a check. Texas Tech has a long way to go academically to match up with the Big Ten. It's a
academics.
Long way.
Academics
are huge in the Big Ten. You've still got to realize, yeah, it's about football, but it's also about who you want in your conference for the next 100 years. And the Big Ten certainly values high academics and research.
I wouldn't rule anybody out. Just by saying they don't fit some paradigm, I don't think those don't hold water anymore. I think there's lots of ways to square the circle. Writing a check is one way to do that. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just off the top of my head, I wouldn't rule them out, is all I'm saying.
Right. And that's applicable for any school, right? You can say any school's in that bucket too, but what's the probability? And if it's less than 1%, then they probably shouldn't be on a tier maker list. Okay. And for me, Texas Tech's less than 1%. So they're not on the list. And the reason is because of academics, because of market, largely. And so straight up, that's why Texas Tech's on the list. That's why they weren't on the SEC list. But we're going to get to the 15 candidates here.
49ers Rockets Ryder in the house. Welcome to the show, Ryder. I'm not sure I've seen your nickname before, so welcome to being here tonight on a Friday evening. Make sure you subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and get involved into the College Football Mafia family. That's what we do around here. You're more than welcome to stick around and be really involved or just follow along, but we're glad you're here regardless. Hey, Laura Weiss, are you from Tyler, Texas? If so, I'm too. Well, I'm actually from White House, Texas. Okay. All right.
Okay.
C. Curtis, another valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, saying the Big Ten must draw first blood, offer Miami, Florida State, or Clemson, and tell Notre Dame to crap or get off the pot. You've nowhere to go. The ACC is toast. All your big rivals and your fan base is in the Big Ten footprint. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. C. Curtis, $15 super chat. Thank you,
Hey.
C. Curtis. Let's give C. Curtis the sounder there, Moen.
Yeah, we will. Let's. I don't know where Curtis is a fan of though. So
Okay, well,
who's his squad?
I don't know. Curtis, tell us who your squad is, and we'll get you an appropriate sounder. $15 super chat saying, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just give him one of these.
Wow, winning. I'm sorry, winning. Oops, winning.
What is that from?
It's Charlie Sheen winning.
Okay.
Thank you for the super chat, Curtis. When you tell me what your team is, if I've got it on the board, I will play it.
There we go. 3 posts above. SEC take 3 and University of Virginia. Big Ten takes 3. Then by 2030, the Big Ten takes 3 more for 4 to 6 team divisions. 6-team divisions. In my honest opinion, regionalizes Olympic sports and allows extremely valuable play-in games. Money press. Okay.
Could happen.
It could, yeah. It's possible until it's not. Fergie in the house. Good to have you here, Fergie, a valuable member and a contributor around here on the College Football Mafia family, saying Colorado, Arizona State, Kansas, Texas Tech are the best candidates from the Big 12, and maybe Utah after that. The SEC and Big Ten go to 24 teams each, and that's all, folks.
Totally agree. They're not going past 24.
I don't think they're going past 20. But
yeah, could be the case still.
That's where it's fun. We get to disagree in a loving way. That's how we do things around here. Good to see you, Fergie, though. Thanks for being here tonight. Let's see here. Wild Ute saying, Fergie, you've nailed most of the list, the Big 12, as far as ordering. We shall see. We'll talk about that. We
shall see.
Daniel Gygax, another contributor extraordinaire of the College Football Mafia family, saying, at Stormy Cyclone, I think Rocco is the most underrated QB in the Big 12. Shocked West Virginia didn't go get him. I think Rocco is okay. You guys want to add anything to that? He's not elite.
So Daniel is a huge fan of Rocco Becht, and I understand that he's a solid quarterback, but I don't think he's a superstar. And I don't think that he's necessarily one of the top 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the Big 12. Can he win football games? Yes, just like last year. Is Iowa State going to be able to recover from the 2 stud receivers they lost? That's the big question mark for that team.
Yeah, we'll see it. We'll see it. There's a bunch of squads and QBs this year that have a lot to show up from last year. Let's see if they can repeat and do it again this year. We won't know until the season's over, I imagine. MBM checking in, representing Oklahoma State Sooners. Sorry, Oklahoma State Cowboys. Tech is not getting into P2 law. So, obviously,
if you could plop Texas Tech in Dallas, then they probably get into the Big Ten.
If you could move the entire university to Dallas, you might have a shot.
Right.
There you go. Mr. Ed Wayner checking in for the University of Houston. Hello, gentlemen. College football is around the corner, and it seems like we've been waiting forever. It does seem like we've been waiting forever. There's no doubt about that. Ricky Tungate gifted a membership, Moen. How does that all work out? Good job, Ricky.
Ricky Tungate gifted a membership, and that membership went to Wet Blanket. Wet Blanket, if you're here, make sure you thank Ricky Tungate in the chat. Ricky, we appreciate you, my Hoosier friend. We'll play a little Indiana. I love that Indiana fight song.
I didn't know Indiana had a fight song.
Yes. Yeah. Every
I'm
Big
just-
Ten team has a fight
I'm
song,
just
guys.
teasing. I'm just teasing. Mark Bowman, valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, $10 super chat. If it's not too hot, I plan to go to Iowa's open practice and controlled scrimmage tomorrow. Anxious to see new QB Mark Gronowski. And I guess he's from San Diego State University. Do you guys know anything about Mark Gronowski?
I know that
It's
everybody
going to be
on
interesting.
social media.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Moon. Go ahead.
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how Iowa performs offensively this year. I really think they have to. Again, I get it. Iowa kicking, punting, defense. At some point, that offense has to click. It's got to be this year. I know that new offensive coordinator's only been there a year, but I think this is a year that they've got to click. But it's going to be tough, man. The Big Ten is just going to be a tough. We'll cover it on our preview next Wednesday, but the Big Ten is going to be a tough conference this year.
Man, I'm glad you said that. Yes, next Wednesday night is the Big Ten preview show for the College Football Mafia Network. Moen will be running that. I'm not sure who his guests are going to be for that show. Next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So look forward to that. We're going to be reviewing that. I'm sure Moen will talk about it on on Sunday. And then I'll probably have a show more than likely Tuesday night next week. I'll also give that a quick bump. But boy, preview season, it's the time. I can't wait for the full season to get going. That's all I can say. Bob Swanger checking in.
Before we get off that,
yeah, go ahead.
hold on a second. I know I owe Mark, and Mark, I put this on here just for you. That's the Iowa fight song, Bomber.
Heck
We
yeah.
all have fight songs in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Go fighting Herkies.
Bob Swanger checking in for the Nittany Lions, valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, saying hi, everyone. Good to see you here. I appreciate all you do for us, Bob. Your loyalty is very much appreciated. OG at this point. Friends call me Sean, checking in, saying Moen and Greg has a big secret.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you've done a bunch of teasing, Moen. You better follow through on those teases.
I told you, Miami's not on the short list. That's what I know. And I think we all know who one of the other teams on the list is. I think it's pretty obvious.
Okay. All right. I wasn't keying in on one thing or the other. I'm just saying I expect a payoff.
Well, that's what I can say tonight. That's what I can say.
Okay. BYU football, that would be Shonsky checking in, another valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, saying hi, everyone. Good to have you here.
Hey,
Jackson Johnson, contributor extraordinaire, somebody who's helped us out, certainly did with the SEC preview we did this week. He and Jason Watkins, appreciate those guys helping me out this week. What's up, College Football Mafia Nation? Devil Frog checking in, saying the Sand Aggies aren't going anywhere without TCU. I don't get that reference. Do you guys get that reference?
So the Sand Aggies, I think that's Texas Tech. I think that a lot some TCU and Baylor fans love to get Texas Tech some crap saying to the Sand Aggies. You have to give us a little bit more context on where the genesis of Sand Aggies came
I don't know where that came from.
It's a dig on Texas Tech.
Devil Frog. Makes sense. Thank you very
give
much.
us the background, Devil Frog.
Let's see. Laura Weiss says Livin. Livin. Devil Frogs and Hey Gents, David Floyd. Fox Sports has vetted Texas Tech, FSU, Miami. They want inside the states of Texas and Florida. David Floyd is putting his foot in the ground. This whole Fox Sports vetted deal, it's been going around for a couple years now. I don't care who's been vetted by who for what. Unless you make the final list, it doesn't really matter. So
Texas Tech has one of the biggest fan bases in the Big 12. I think that we could all agree with that. But Texas Tech needs to put out ratings this year, guys. The ratings for Texas Tech have been middling at best. Yeah. And you need to win and blow up the ratings to get Fox interested in you. because based on the last 10 years, it's not sexy.
Agreed. Chris Cobb saying howdy everyone. Good to have you here, Chris. Thanks for being here tonight on Friday evening. Let's see, try to get through as many more of these as I can so we can get right into the content that we have tonight. Auto Raider checking in, representing the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Wow, on Miami with the Big Ten, to be honest, because I don't think the SEC will want them.
Well, here's the thing you got to keep it. Just because Miami's not on the short list doesn't mean Miami's not a candidate. The short list for the Big Ten could be North Carolina, Virginia, and Clemson, who might all get scooped up by the SEC. At that point, if the Big Ten's going to expand, they're probably going to have to look for Miami as a candidate. But who knows? Who knows? But I'd still put Miami as a viable candidate.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Great to see you here, Auto Raider. It's been a minute, but I do appreciate when you're here. Steele Austin checking in for the great state of Utah, University of Utah. Utes in the house saying, Greg reporting that Miami might not be a big target. Very interesting. Yep. Time will tell. Everybody just needs to just slow down slow your roll. Nothing's going to be settled tonight. Hall of Fame college football. That would be Jason Watkins, valuable member of the college football mafia family, saying we're back on academics as the big driver for the Big Ten, huh?
Well, listen, Jason, it's never been away. Last 4 additions to the Big Ten were all AAU universities. Prior to that, the last 2 expansion candidates were AAU universities. Academics are important to presidents in the Big Ten who actively decide who gets to be a conference member. Football's going to play a part in it. Media rights are going to play a part in it, but they're still going to put some kind of emphasis on, academics, especially when with Wisconsin has one of the largest voting blocks in the Big Ten. And they are and it's surprising to a lot of people, but Wisconsin is very high academics, very high research. Which surprises some people. But, academics are going to play a part.
You want to add anything to that?
I agree. Listen to Moan on that. So we got a super chat in here from Charlie. KU should be 1 by far. We're going to make you happy, Charlie, tonight, because KU is most certainly.
Jumping ahead. He's getting ahead on his line.
Let's give him a little Jayhawk squawk.
Give us Matic Jayhawk squawk.
I was getting there. You's just anxious tonight. He wants to get started.
And KU, by the way, AAU school.
All right.
KU is a legit.
See if there's any others that I wanted to get to before I just turn the time over to a very motivated Wild Ute tonight who's been anxiously looking forward to this all week long. So if there's anybody else, Nick Kelso checking in, another valuable member of the College Football Mafia family, saying at Steele Austin, Greg said no recent talks with Miami. He is hinting at recent talks with Notre Dame plus 3 others he might name around the 50-minute mark. Okay. Go Black 45. It seems like Duke is going to push UVA to the sidelines. It could happen.
Can I just
go ahead.
Say one thing here?
Yeah.
Go Black is saying I don't have a Tiger Roar. We've got a Tiger Roar. Here it is. But if you want to hear the special LSU one, got to give a super chat. Go Black. Then you get the special LSU one.
Oh wow. Okay. All right. Charlie Casado saying hey from Denver. Good to have you here, Charlie. Thanks for being here tonight. And one more Rock and Rant saying Miami to the G20. Rock and Rant, obviously a contributor extraordinaire, somebody who represents not only the College Football Mafia family, but also the his own channel, which is the
CFB
College Football Express.
Yep.
And appreciate him doing all that he does for us, certainly all the intelligence and information he gives. And one more, We will do Nitwit checking in with a $10 super chat. Wisconsin grads are sharp cheddar. So,
That's absolutely.
not sure, is that
Well,
a
That's-
is that
well,
a
that just makes
positive or a
sense.
negative? I don't know.
that
but,
is a positive, and that is
okay. All right.
We are Penn State.
very
Look at that
academic
drop.
Big Ten joke right there. Here
Okay.
we go.
All right.
Here it comes.
I'm done. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to turn the time over to both Butte and Moen. I think Butte, we're going to start with you first.
Yeah,
And
let's do it. Let's pull up the
the
tier
floor
maker. Are you
is
guys
yours.
ready? You ready,
I'm ready.
Nate?
I'm ready.
Give me a let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, here we go. Behold, the 15 candidates, serious candidates, have been discussed for Big Ten realignment expansion over the last 3 years plus. Also, these candidates are supported by data saying that they would be at least a decent add to the Big Ten Conference. Well, all of these are not accretive, meaning most of them aren't going to add value to the Big Ten BA contract. Only few are. That's not just the idea here. We're looking at it holistically, looking at new regions, academics, football. There's a lot of things that go into it. We're going to break it all down here, but check it out. 15 schools. We're going to tackle it one by one. We're going to place them into one of 5 different tiers. The elite tier, the top tier, must have. The Big Ten must have the school. Priority, priority, priority. You get it. Next down, the primary targets. They don't quite clip the must have, but you got to get them anyway and stuff if they're available. You might be fighting with the SEC for some of these primary targets, but they are high value, okay? And then we're going to the next tier down, high value fallbacks. So guess what? If my must haves are gone or I've already taken them and I want to keep realigning here, primary targets are next. If they're off the table, then who's next on that list that I can look down and add as a high value fallback? Then we're getting to the lower tier expansion candidates out of these 15, which are all excellent schools. Those are the strategic ads. And then lastly, the last resort. Say everything else is off the table. We got to take these schools. If we're going to expand, they're the last resorts. So we've got 5 tiers. We've got 15 schools. Let's freaking go. We're starting hot with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So, Moan, give your breakdown on Notre Dame to the Big Ten.
And Notre Dame to the Big Ten is, I think, the only must-have on this list. It's a must-have. It's the white whale of the Big Ten. They have offered Notre Dame numerous times. Yes, Michigan and Fielding Yost's racism and anti-Catholic sentiment kept them out of the Big Ten previously, but that was close to 100 years ago. They've been offered several times since then. The Big Ten and Notre Dame talk to each other. Notre Dame is a proud member of the Big Ten Conference in hockey. Notre Dame, in my opinion, is the must-have. If this is, I think we're getting to the end of realignment, whether you want to call it consolidation, what have you. I think Notre Dame in the next, they need to get Notre Dame in-house within the next 5 years.
Nate.
I think Notre Dame is the easiest slam dunk of all of them, but I, at the same time, don't think that Notre Dame's joining the Big Ten. So I don't think they need to until their access for the CFP is taken away and they no longer have an automatic in every year. They have no reason to join the Big Ten. So while I know the Big Ten really, really wants them, I don't necessarily see Notre Dame having the same attitude back to the Big Ten. So
let's frame this from the perspective of we're all sitting in the Big Ten boardroom.
Yeah,
we're trying to determine on our big board here, on however you want to see it. It could be a big board. It could be like a game out strategy, however you want to look at it. But from the Big Ten perspective, we're all in this Big Ten boardroom. All the community is too. Notre Dame, like you guys have already said, is a must-have target. That's why they're first on the list, because this one obviously is the most no-brainer of all of them.
Well,
Notre Dame is a must-have.
Can I just bring up one point?
Absolutely.
Notre Dame is in the contract. They cover themselves +3. That alone is why they're number one. That is why they're a must-have. Fox Sports, NBC, and CBS have already agreed to what they're going to pay the Big Ten if Notre Dame joins and becomes a member. That is why they are a must-have.
3 times, Moan.
Themselves
How can that even
plus
be?
3.
Like, so
Because Notre Dame is worth $400 million. Notre Dame's worth $400 million to the Big Ten. Yeah.
Per year?
No. I'm not saying they're going to get paid $400 million. I'm just saying that from what we've been told, the Fox contract, the NBC contract, the CBS contract, all mention a figure with Notre Dame. And that figure, we've been told, covers Notre Dame plus 3 full other shares. So that's $400 million it covers.
Around $400 million.
Right. So you're basically, if you're bringing 3 people with them, now obviously Washington and Oregon have to be made whole before anybody else gets made whole, but that at least makes it possible to at least cover expansion. It's guaranteed money. It's not money they have to figure out.
That is unbelievable that they would be worth 4 times multiple for like a school, right? Because most of the schools that we'll talk about, you're not going to reach that $100 million per year accretive benchmark. Notre Dame kills that by 4 times, 3 times, 4 times. So that is unreal. Notre Dame tradition on media, deal with NBC. We all know about the Golden Domers. It's a no-brainer ad. Big Ten less for Notre Dame. They've wanted them for a long, long time. They're the must-have guys. I don't think there's going to be a lot of debate about that. That's how it is. Notre Dame's going to end up number 1, but this is where it gets interesting. Okay, Notre Dame's now on our board. They're put right there, square one, number 1. Now we're going to get to a very questionable realignment candidate for the Big Ten Conference. Extremely questionable in my point of view. So I'm going to ask you guys about this too. And Nate, let's start with you. Cal Berkeley, the Cal Bears. Where do they fall in the tier list pecking order in Big Ten realignment?
Near the very bottom. I don't see that they bring anything from a competitive standpoint that the Big Ten needs. If we're talking about need here, at the end of the day, I think the only way that Cal gets into the Big Ten is if they get a ride along. They hitch a ride with Stanford, for instance, or a Notre Dame. I don't think Cal in any way, shape, or form gets that addition to the Big Ten unless somebody's helping a brother out.
Yeah, Moan, what are your thoughts on Cal?
Cal needs somebody to they're going to need Stanford, I think. I think they need Notre Dame and Stanford. That's how poor I think Cal is.
Probably closer to not.
And here's the thing for Cal, I don't think Cal can get out of the ACC. The price for exit for ACC teams, we already know Cal is desperately trying to get money for their athletic department. They're basically putting a calimony on UCLA. They're doing everything they can to fund that athletic department. I don't know that Cal can afford to leave the ACC. I know Stanford can.
Not without a subsidized tariff. No,
they could pay, but Stanford has the money to pay. I mean, like, it's not like Stanford is broke like Cal's broke.
They could if they wanted to. They'd have to prioritize it, though.
Every year that goes by, Cal falls further and further behind.
Yeah.
When realignment happened a year and a half to 2 years ago, Cal was named as a strong contender for Big Ten entry with Stanford, but it feels like every month that goes by, those 2 programs are just falling. Cal specifically, financial issues, as you mentioned. So if we're in the Big Ten boardroom right here, we got to put Cal as a last resort, guys? Last resort?
Yeah, desperate resort. Yeah.
Last resort for Cal Berkeley. It's a fall maybe from even like the point of a high-value fallback or a strategic ad from 2 years ago, now into a last resort position. It's not trending good for Cal. All right, so I think this next candidate, Mona, why don't you just give the brief again on what's happened with Miami and what information that we know about Miami that you've heard recently?
So there's a document that has been out there. Greg's talked about it. Is a short list with 4 teams. We've got a pretty good idea who one of the teams is, because but we know Miami is not one of the 4 teams. So
4
that
teams. What do you
again,
mean?
I don't
What
think
do you
that
mean, Moan? What do you mean
it's
by
a
4
short
teams?
list. There's a list of 4 teams that the Big Ten has been talking to. Miami is not on that list right now.
Okay.
And Notre Dame would be one of the teams.
We would assume. I mean, it's Notre Dame. So here's the thing. I don't think that means that Miami is out. I still think they could be a high target, primary target even. We don't know who the other 3 schools are on that list. Hey, listen, those schools, again, I said it could be Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia. Those schools could go to the SEC, and the Big Ten's left with Notre Dame and telling Notre Dame, hey, we need 3 more.
Yeah.
Miami would then be a primary target. I think the Big Ten has to get into Florida. But, if Notre Dame is on that list and is on the top of that list, I got to tell you, a lot of it's going to be who Notre Dame wants to come with them.
I'd
put you at a primary target.
I would love to have Miami in the Big Ten. I would prefer they're in the Big 12 from a selfish standpoint. But I think if anybody deserves to be in the Big Ten, it would be, I think Miami is the brand and everything else that comes with it. That's my opinion.
Like, we've been talking for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months about how Miami checks all these boxes. And then all of a sudden there's a little bit more intel that they're not on the short list. That doesn't change the boxes they've checked, guys. Right. Like, information comes and goes, it flows, it comes back. Like, you got to look on paper and stuff of where, like, the boardroom for the Big Ten, Miami has to be a primary target.
And here's the thing. Maybe the list is just who they're talking to. Maybe they don't want to talk to Miami while they've got this lawsuit going on with Wisconsin. That,
it's so stupid.
I know it's a dumb hill to die on, but for some legal reason, maybe that's why they're not having conversations with Miami.
That certainly could be. And, like, what is Miami doing now in this lawsuit with Wisconsin? Wisconsin's one of the big influencers in the Big Ten Conference. As you've mentioned, Moan, Greg mentioned that, like, they have that block with Michigan, Wisconsin-Michigan block. So you're talking about powerful allies that you're really pushing against, right? That might have been allies. Now they're going to be enemies in the Big Ten. I can't believe what they're doing right now. It seems so foolish. At the end of the day, though, this is a 100-year decision. It's not a 6-month to 2-year decision. I think that the Big Ten leadership could overlook that for the long-term benefits of getting into the city of Miami, getting into Florida, everything that we've talked about with the research, the alignment with research too, that still exists. It's still a massive brand. Miami's got to be a primary target. Might not be the first, though, in position. So how these work is if you're in that left-hand side right next to the must-have or primary target, you're number 1 in that category. So Miami sitting right now is the only primary target. They might not last there. They might be behind some other schools. Okay. So I'm going to try to take my bias out of this. And Nate, maybe we should let Moan opine on the Utah Utes first.
Sure. Go ahead.
Moan, give a breakdown.
It's Utah is a last resort. I'm sorry, Salt Lake City isn't a big enough media market for them. And to be honest, BYU does a pretty damn good job dominating that market. So I think Utah is a last resort. Good. Their academics have started to slip, though. They really have. Their academic rankings have started to go down, which is not a good thing for the Utah Utes. But as far as adding more teams on the West Coast, I think there's better West Coast teams out. I think there's more attractive. Let me put it that way. I think there's more attractive West Coast teams out there for the Big Ten.
Yeah, like, obviously have bias on this side and everything. I do think there's a lot more to offer there. I think that's just kind of looking at the half empty right there. I think if you look at the state of Utah, I mean, BYU, like it or not, they're never going to be a Big Ten candidate based on its church affiliation. Let's just be straight up about that, okay? So if you're going to add the state of Utah, it's going to be the Utes.
Yep.
And the state. So here, check it out. So Utah is actually the number one growth state in the nation. Has a ton of kids going into school and stuff. Those are important priorities. It's a bridge too to the West Coast schools, especially to LA. And you've got the football brand there too. Moan, I think you're disrespecting the Utes a little bit. If you look at the ratings over the last 10 years, Utah's actually performed pretty well. So totally get it and stuff. They're not Florida State. They're not Notre Dame. But I definitely don't see them as a last resort candidate. Worst case scenario, strategic ad for me. So we might need to go to the community poll for this one to see where they fall.
Man, I don't think you want the community poll, but I'll put it out there.
Ask the community poll if they're a strategic ad or last resort.
My opinion is that I think they maybe had a shot at getting in at 24.
Sure.
I think that has slipped since. I think they're closer to 25, 26. But I admit I'm fully biased.
Sure.
I don't feel the need to hide my bias in that regard. But from a growth perspective for where we're going to be for realignment and now consolidation moving forward. If we have realignment moving forward, if we have that, we tip the curve when it comes to consolidation. I just don't see a need to have school in the state of Utah. Frankly, it is fast growing, and it is the demographics in Utah have increased. But I think Arizona is higher. I think Colorado's higher. But I don't think any of those schools get into the Big Ten.
I do agree that in a 24-team scenario, that is Utah's only shot at getting in the Big Ten Conference. And it's not a shoe-in even in a 24-team scenario. Right. So we are aligned right there. As far as Utah's brand, is it declining now that they're not in the Pac-12? I sure hope not. Maybe. And that's not a good testament right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last season didn't help you.
No, last season didn't help. We'll see what this season brings and everything. But this is a 100-year decision, guys. This isn't a 1-year, 2 years decision. So anyway, I've got bias too. I will admit that. Nate's got bias. So what does the community poll say? Where are we putting the Utes?
Last resort.
Last resort. Okay. So Utah is going into last resort column. Head of Cal, because Cal's a cluster right here. So, okay, let's move on here. So we're moving on to the Kansas Jayhawks, and then let's get to some comments too from the community. So what do you think about the Kansas Jayhawks, Nate, in their addition?
I think Kansas is a brand. I think a brand, as we all three of us know, brands have intrinsic value. Don't necessarily have to be one-to-one a football for football. You could just have a brand for brand's sake. But again, I think it's a last ditch. I don't think there's anybody pretty much on this list out in my mind outside of Notre Dame and Miami that is a must-have. That's my opinion.
I've got Kansas as a high-value fallback. The basketball program is valuable. I'd put it above strategic ad. Again, depending on what candidates left out there after the SEC eats, if the Big Ten doesn't move first. So for me, I got Kansas as a high-value fallback.
Yeah, I've got Kansas as a last resort for sure. Like Kansas, as far as ratings for football, they've been really bad for a long time. Small stadium. If you look at the growth rates in Kansas City, next market next to Lawrence here, they're not really growing at a fast rate. Salt Lake City is a bigger market than Kansas City, guys. And so if you look at like the deep details of KU's candidacy into the Big Ten Conference, I just don't see the value add there. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think KU is a strong candidate for SEC, as we mentioned last week. Go check out that video if you didn't hear that analysis and breakdown for the SEC realignment expansion. But to me, KU is pretty low in that last resort tier.
Yeah,
I don't think. Yeah, go ahead.
I let me put it to, since we've all got three different views here, we've got high value, strategic, and last resort. We're going to let the community decide on it. So I would just go this way and say, the NCAA is paying a lot of money for these tournament teams. Kansas is consistently in the tournament. The Big Ten has not won a national championship in basketball since 2002. It's a lot of money.
Who was that? Was that Michigan?
Michigan State, I believe.
Michigan State. Okay.
Yeah, Tom Izzo with Michigan State. So, I mean, the Big Ten, we've got a lot. Purdue will get you to the Sweet 16, the Elite Eight every year, but, I mean, Big Ten basketball has to come up. So I think the Kansas.
How much is basketball worth?
Basketball.
Man. Yeah,
well, that's what I'm saying.
You're talking about $100 million. Can they can't even get close to clearing that with football and basketball mode.
Yeah.
There's teams on this list that don't have football or basketball.
Right.
So I mean,
right.
There's a team on here who has probably one of the top 3-4 brands in basketball. To me, that's a high value fallback.
That's so just if we're making the big board here and stuff. So KU is going to be
one.
We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. What does the community say?
Yeah, what the community say?
Yeah, we'll let the community decide.
Okay.
Community says, well, this is close. Strategic 39, high value 33, last resort 27. So community's just as split as we are. So
define what would be a strategic. What would be define how Kansas is a strategic ad for the Big Ten?
It's a contiguous state. You get into the Kansas City market, maybe, with having a Kansas team there. Strategically, you need basketball revenue to go up. Kansas definitely does that.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess like beauty is in the eye of the beholder for the Big Ten. KU to me makes no sense. For the SEC, a ton of sense.
Absolutely. But the most important thing, guys, is remember that Moen, all Kansas Jayhawk fans, Moen said high value feedback, fallback.
Give that Jayhawk squawk one more time. Come on. I'll give you the wings.
I should have worn the Kansas hat.
Oh, gosh. Let's get to some comments, guys. Let's get to some community comments.
Well, let's get one more. Let's get one more, you.
Let's get one more.
Because I want to make sure we get this before Nate has to leave.
No, I'm going to be here for a minute, so we're good. Don't worry about me. Okay.
Do you want to get some comments, Nate, or do you want me to drive?
I don't care. No, you guys are well and in charge, so keep going. I'm here so I don't get fined.
Movie Time Blue says primary targets should be Georgia Tech and Miami. AAU, great markets, strategic placement for international audiences. I don't know that I disagree with you, Movie Time Blues, but we'll see. Big 12 should offer Notre Dame an ACC type deal. The problem with the Big 12, though, is they don't have the teams to offer Notre Dame an ACC type deal. I understand that Notre Dame likes it in the ACC right now. They've got the opportunity to play Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Virginia, North Carolina, all these great brands. If those brands leave, Notre Dame's going to be kind of on a, especially if Clemson goes to the Big Ten and Big Ten makes Clemson cancel their scheduling agreement with Notre Dame. Just a thought. I'm putting it out there. Miami off the list. Greg got interesting. Again, it's a short list of 4 teams they're talking to. Who knows? Again, the lawsuit with Wisconsin and Miami might be a barrier for them talking. They don't want to talk while that lawsuit's ongoing. Hopefully both sides realize hopefully both sides realize this is a dumb hill to die on.
So, I think it's a red herring.
I get it. Yeah. Everybody's got principles, but man, got to make your nut. Jamie Bangles Girl says hello. Hello, Jamie. Good to see you. Arkansas Razorback. Notre Dame plus 3 others. Who told you that? That was widely reported when the Fox, the Big Ten business deal went out. I can find that for you, Tony. I just don't have the link off the top of my head, but it's been widely reported. Greg reported it as well. Devil Frog from TCU. Big 12 football, basketball, and soccer on Eurosport could appeal to Notre Dame, especially if games are shown in Ireland and the UK. You can say the exact same thing about Big Ten football, basketball, and soccer. On Sky Sports. There's way, there's ways that it works out. Cal is a strategic ad. I don't know how. They share a market with Stanford.
In what
Stanford
strategy?
is
You
the
playing
better
Stratego,
school.
or you playing Monopoly? What is the strategy involved there? I'm not being snarky.
Yeah,
I'm seriously
Yeah,
wondering.
there's no
what
strategy.
Is
I
the,
mean, you
what
already
is
own
the
the team.
strategy?
Neither am I.
I don't. Yeah, I just don't
I
agree
don't-
with Cal getting. I don't see why or how Cal would get in, guys. At this point in time,
They're
2 years ago, they'd have
absolute-
Cal, that is a dysfunctional athletic department. They've got Ron Rivera, who the boosters want to make the coach. They've got a coach that the boosters don't like. That's just if I'm the coach of Cal, get out of there, take a defensive coordinator job. Because the boosters have it in their mind that Ron Rivera is going to come back and coach that team to a national championship. Just dysfunctional team. It exists in the same market as Stanford. Why would you double up on that market? Stanford would be ahead of Cal, in my opinion.
Can I ask a question? Question to you guys. What are we really talking about here anymore? Are we talking about teams and universities that can compete for national championships? Are we talking about schools front porch where you want to drive up people that do applications and you want to pull people into your state? What is the reason for your athletic department in general to be a success? Because right now, if it's any barrier or any reasonable thing that you could be measuring, Cal does not meet any of those expectations for anything that makes money. So what are we doing? What's the purpose of this whole process here? That's where it loses me with some of these other brands that I just don't see they're going to compete anytime soon.
Well, they're definitely not going to compete, but like if we were in the Big Ten boardroom and we're thinking about our universities and trying to pluck students from Northern California because of the student issue, and we're thinking about this not just from a sports perspective about a recruiting students, like non-football students, just normal students, and being aligned with Cal Berkeley and the research in that university, there's a different value that comes with that. It's not sports related, and that's what realignment is. It's multi-pronged, guys. It's not just about football ratings. It's huge. It's not just about basketball. It's about your academics, your market. There's tons of things that go into it. Cal is elite in the academic side and market side. The problem is you own the market because you've got the LA schools there. And so it's not going to be an ad anymore, just getting Northern California. And if you're going to get any school, it's going to be Stanford for Cal.
Yeah. That's how I look at it.
Here's the only way Cal gets into the Big Ten. Here's the only way they get in. Notre Dame, do you want Cal? No? Okay, they're not in the Big Ten. That's the only way Cal gets on. They're going to be a piggyback.
And even then,
they either
is that something that is a distinguishing character?
Right.
I mean,
you're the tag alum. You are the backpack. You either get in with Notre Dame and Stanford, like Stanford relents and says we're leaving the Ivy League public library, we're joining the Big Ten Academic Alliance, but you got to bring Cal along. At that point, Cal might have a chance. If Notre Dame says, yes, we need to have Cal here, then Cal would probably be there. Otherwise, Cal has no shot. It's just a duplicate market. They've already got UCLA pissed at them. USC's pissed at them. They're just not going to get the votes.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
agreed.
Guys, let's get back to it. Yeah, that was a really good breakdown of Cal. That's exactly where they are right now in this realignment tier ranking right here. So they're very much a last resort, and it's not trending good again for them. Here's a fascinating candidate right here, the Clemson Tigers. So Clemson, football brand is there. Will they add value? You're adding South Carolina.
Who wants to
You're
start?
adding a new.
Who wants to start?
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. You, Moan. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Clemson, primary target number one right now. High academics. They don't have the research where they need to be. Obviously, they don't have a hospital system. Not AAU, but high academics, close to AAU. They could get to AAU. Clemson, huge football brand. Newmarket, South Carolina, very close to Atlanta, Georgia, could get you into the Atlanta market potentially. Could also get you into portions of southern North Carolina, get you into North Carolina markets potentially. I've got to think primary target, Clemson. And Graham Neff, he mentioned this week in an article that they're talking to people. And I have to believe that the Big Ten is one of those people they're talking to. So I've got Clemson as a high primary target.
Go ahead, Nate.
For the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. For the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think Clemson's a very high value target. I think as much as anybody is on the table, Clemson would be one of them. But is it enough to drive a realignment pickup? I don't know. I less and less every day do I believe that consolidation needs to revolve around further realignment. I just don't think that's. I think we get to where we all want to be, which is the most high quality sports, football and basketball being primarily 1 and 2, and that being the case, I don't think the rest of it is necessary. So I would prefer we go out and just have teams and leagues and not worry about realignment.
Yeah, well, that'd be nice, but we have to because it's reality. So where are they, Nate? Are they in the primary targets or high value fallback in your?
I think if you're putting a gun to my head, I say they're a primary target, but I don't think they're a primary target.
I agree with you guys, and especially with Nate. I'm leaning towards a high value fallback for Clemson. Look, you do get into South Carolina. You are close to Atlanta, only an hour away. You've got good academics, but it's not a research-focused institution. Culturally, It's not really a Big Ten school. It's an SEC school, guys. Culturally, the fit for Clemson isn't necessarily like a glove, like for some other schools, but its value is enough that you might just do it anyway because of its brand. And again, you're going to the South.
I'm going to have to disagree with you here. Who on this list is a cultural Big Ten school?
Notre Dame,
Georgia
Tech, Duke, UNC,
Miami,
Florida State over Clemson, Stanford, Cal, Utah,
Miami is.
Arizona State. There's a lot. Most of them are. And Clemson's not, though.
Yeah,
there's only a few that aren't
high on that.
Virginia,
from that measurement, I don't think.
I disagree. I disagree. Outside of Notre Dame, I don't see a Big Ten cultural team here. It's about adopting a new culture in the Big Ten to get into the Southeast.
You don't think Miami is? I think
Just
Miami is. Okay.
I don't think they're cultural. No, I think Miami's very culturally. I think Miami and Stanford and Cal, I don't think are Big Ten. Listen, I don't think USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon are Big Ten culturally. But we went out on the West Coast and we added 4 West Coast teams. But I mean, look, they're still very culturally different from the teams that Big Ten has added previously. They added Nebraska. Nebraska was always a power run school.
Right.
That fits into the Big Ten mode. They were a contiguous state. Rutgers, again, not a great school, but great market, great academics. Maryland is, I think, one of the outliers. I still think Maryland as an ACC cultural school, but outside of Notre Dame, I don't see any Big Ten cultural schools on this list. The closest I think we would come to a Big Ten cultural school is Kansas.
Well, the only thing that Notre Dame has is right square in the Big Ten, guys.
I think
it's
Miami
Indiana.
is. I think
you guys
Miami
own
is.
the state.
Well,
I mean, it's a Big Ten fit because it's in the state.
Lots of rivalries. Right, but they have rivalries with Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan. They even have a rivalry with Northwestern. They've got 4 different rivalries in the Big Ten.
Are we talking about Clemson or are we talking about Miami?
I'm talking about Notre Dame.
Yeah, nobody. If we just take Notre Dame as rote, the next school you have is who?
The next closest to a Big Ten culture school would be Kansas.
Oh yeah, we can.
Man,
I just don't
I don't
see
agree
that.
with that.
I don't see that.
Like, so Clemson guys, I'm leaning towards high value fallbacks. Do they make it behind Miami in the primary targets? Where are we going?
They should be in front of Miami, but okay.
There's no way they're in front
As
of
long
Miami.
as you have
So
them
we
on
talk
primary
about for a
target.
full year about how Miami's such a great candidate. Now Clemson, the one that doesn't fit at all of a sudden scoots ahead of Miami. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I just can't do it. Sorry, I can't do it, Moan.
Okay, but
what's
hear
that
me
based on? Yeah, go
Hear me
ahead.
out. If we just assume Notre Dame is number one on that list, who did Notre Dame just schedule a 12-year contract with?
So they're backpacking with Notre Dame. That's the logic then.
Clemson.
Clemson did.
Right.
It's got to stop,
but that one doesn't necessarily, that doesn't complete the circle necessarily, though, Moen. Just because the result ends up, that doesn't mean
true.
that
But
was
if
the
Notre Dame is the
intent,
top,
though.
I think Notre Dame is going to have a say. I think Notre Dame will have a say. I think they would want Clemson in conference as a conference game as opposed to an out of conference game, then followed by playing a full Big Ten schedule.
So Moen thinks about this like a game theory. I totally understand like where you're coming from with that. Was from a big board like just standpoint, okay? Forget Notre Dame. Let's just forget it for a second. Where does Clemson fall? And must have priority 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I think it'd be 3. And then you game it out. Maybe they move up to the 2, like we're talking about as a primary target. Man, Miami just checks so many more boxes. You get into the big city, that's Big Ten, all like the research, the brand, and everything else. It just makes so much more sense than Clemson.
I understand you, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but they're not on the short list right now, and there has to be a reason they're not on the short list.
Well, but Clemson's not necessarily in the short list either, though.
No, but I think with Notre Dame, I think it puts it in front of Miami, but it's not a hill I'm going to die on. I don't think Miami should die on the Wisconsin Xavier Lucas hill. I'm not dying on the Clemson in front of Miami hill. I'm fine as long as you've got them as primary target.
Okay, so the primary targets, and Nate and I both have them behind Miami. So we'll stick them right here. We're sticking them right here. The primary target, very good Big Ten candidate. We're all admitting to that. Now let's move on to the Stanford Cardinal. Stanford, very fascinating because if you want to talk about a school that Notre Dame would want to add, I think it's still Stanford. There was heat about that a year and a half ago. Stanford circles excited because they thought they were going to piggyback with Notre Dame into the Big Ten eventually. I don't know why that's changed. Stanford is the better of the Cal Stanford 2. You don't get a benefit for going back into California since you own LA, but Stanford brings huge amounts of money, academic prestige, Olympic sports, brand. I think that Stanford's got to be a serious Big Ten candidate still, guys.
I agree. Think, yeah, I think if they would just drop their academic alliance thing, I think they could have gotten an ad to the Big Ten years ago. Are they willing to drop that demand / requirement? I don't know, but they definitely are Big Ten. But they are a true blue Big Ten member if they just would be willing to subvert their own egos a little bit.
Yeah, the question to me is whether the Big Ten wants to go west again. Does the Big Ten want to go west or the next? We know there's 4 schools they're talking to. Are all 4 of them in the Southeast? I mean, does the Big Ten really want to go west again until they go to 20? I mean, maybe they decide they want to go to 24 at some point, but
that's just it. I don't think it comes down to the total number again, and I don't think they go past 20, 21 if you include Notre Dame as one of those schools. I don't think they go to 24.
Where are they on the big board?
I've got them as a high value fallback. I've got them as a high value fallback.
Same.
I think if they were available, I think it'd be them and Notre Dame would be 1-2. I think they do want Stanford It's just there's a reason why they've chased him for as long as they have. I don't think that's just an accident, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon either.
I think Stanford should be ahead of Clemson.
Oh, definitely. I think. Well, Miami's ahead of Clemson. I think Stanford's ahead of Clemson. I think Clemson's like 4 or 5 on a list.
Okay, so Moan, can you stomach notching Stanford ahead of Clemson? You're the Big Ten guy.
No, I can't.
Okay,
And I'm
you're
going
gonna
to and I'm going to tell you why. Stanford does not want to leave the Ivy Public League library system. They
Right.
don't want to leave it, and it's going
Right.
to be a prerequisite to get into the Big Ten. They have to
Right.
leave that and join the Big Ten Academic Alliance.
Right.
Is Stanford willing to do that? So far, they probably could have been in the Big Ten already. They
Yes.
didn't want to do it. So
Yes.
I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I think Notre Dame is probably going to get that point that, hey, listen, we'd love to bring Stanford. They won't leave and join the Big Ten Academic Alliance. So for me, Stanford's a high value fallback. It's definitely high value. I'm not disputing that. I just don't think they want to leave the Ivy Public League system. I think you would have to get Duke on board to leave the Ivy Public League system in order to get Stanford on board to leave the Ivy Public League system.
Okay. High value fallback.
High value fallback.
Arizona State Sun Devils. What do you think, Nate?
If we're talking about 4, 5, 6 deep, yeah, they're on that list. They're not. Nobody's screaming to get into Phoenix.
I disagree. I've got them as a high value fallback. I think there is value in the market. If you're going west again, the population center in Arizona, I think, is a huge market for them. Arizona State, hey, they've proved themselves. They got Kenny Dillingham. They improved last year. They went to the playoffs last year. If not for a bad call, they should have beat Texas last year and been in the Final Four. I think Arizona State, plus Arizona State has a hockey program. We got a lot of hockey in the Big Ten. I've got Arizona State as a high value fallback. If we're going west, it's right behind Stanford. I'd put Stanford as the number 1 West school. I would put Arizona State as my number 2 West school.
So let's look at Arizona State. So huge enrollment. That's checking the Big Ten box. Research institution checks, AAU checks, big market checks, football's improving checks, decent brand, but not a great brand, and really, really rough TV ratings for a long, long time because of really bad football that's been up and down. The issue with Arizona State is, like, what type of viewership could they command? Are they going to be, if they got added, would they be another Rutgers or Maryland?
Yes.
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 So the
Okay,
academics are fine, but they're not that good. Utah's ranked ahead of them in the academics. It's not like they're elite.
I understand that, but here we go. I just want to put this out here. This came across the board. Per Jamie Bengals Girl saying, per Greg, the 4 schools the biggest talking to that are on that short list are Virginia, North Carolina, Clemson, and Notre Dame.
Okay.
Those are the 4 schools then.
So can we move Clemson in front of Miami as a primary target?
No. Why? Just because Greg says so?
If they're on that list.
Greg is one. I mean, he's a friend of ours and everything, but that doesn't mean that it trumps.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're not going to squash a year's worth of discussion about Miami just because this came out.
Look, I respect Greg. Oh, that doesn't mean I have to agree with him. No, I don't.
So let's talk about those. Okay, so Moan. Okay, so we'll read off that comment again, and then let's move up. Let's move up some of these schools so we can start talking about them and notching them real quick. So Virginia is in that, right?
Virginia again.
UNC's
is
in the 4-2.
Way down.
UNC. Hey, I got to move Arizona State. I'm just going to put them out as a strategic ad, guys. We'll meet in the middle, right there, Moan, for strategic ad for ASU.
As opposed to what?
Yeah.
Strategic ad instead of
or
what?
I would have put him in last resort. Moan's put him in high value fallback. Nate, you kind of seem somewhere in the middle too. So let's throw him in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So read off that again, based on the most recent intel. What's going on, Moan?
Jamie Bangles girl was saying that Greg said the 4 on the list are Notre Dame, which was obvious,
Sure.
North Carolina, Virginia, and Clemson.
Okay. So you add the states of Indiana, you add the states of South Carolina, Virginia, and North Carolina. You're checking multiple states off. That makes sense. All of
But
them.
you're not.
What?
You're not getting into Florida unless you go to 24.
What that does, though, like it actually alleviates travel issues with Miami. It's so far down there, guys. Like Miami really is. You've got to add 1 or 2 travel partners if you're at Miami. Clemson would be one of those, obviously.
So
like that's.
Can you explain? I'm. This came out of left field for me. Just what does this have to do with Greg? I don't understand what is the premise. Jamie Bangles girl says Greg says. What is the context? Because I don't understand just by saying that. What does that mean?
That is, I believe, the new chatter.
From who?
Those 4 are serious targets, based on
I
sources.
know, but Greg's come up with that off the top of his head, or
there is a document. It is a Big Ten document.
Okay.
That lists 4 teams they are talking to. Apparently, those 4 teams are Notre Dame, Clemson, North Carolina, and Virginia. Those are the 4 teams they're talking to at this point. 4 schools. This is a Notre Dame wish list of schools per Greg. They are your 4 Notre Dame wants: Virginia, North Carolina, Clemson, and Notre Dame. But I put this up here. Greg just said the big nose UNC is most likely going to the SEC. I think wherever UNC goes, UVA goes. But until they go to the SEC, the Big Ten isn't giving up. This is a Notre Dame-driven expansion for the Big, per Greg just now, which goes back to what I said earlier. If the SEC scoops up North Carolina and Virginia, who are the next 2 on the Big Ten's list?
Yeah.
That's why I'm not going to exclude Miami.
Definitely don't exclude Miami. Definitely don't, nor Stanford. Look, based on that information, guys, is there any doubt that North Carolina needs to be number 1 in the primary targets area?
I don't have a problem with that.
I don't. Based on what, though?
Based on the national reports that both conferences want them, based on the evidence of the Big Ten offering North Carolina 12, 15 years ago, North Carolina staying in the ACC, based on the brand, based on the growth in the population. I think there's enough evidence there to suggest that they are a hot commodity for both the Big Ten and the SEC. And Virginia was offered too by Big Ten 10, 15 years ago. So
yeah,
feelings. They still have feelings for them.
Okay. All right. I don't feel strongly about either Virginia or North Carolina.
You bring up a great point. And right now, Duke is ahead of UVA. Some people don't want to believe that, and I get it, as Greg says. I can actually speak on this. Duke, and I told everybody in the Mafia chat this week, Duke has been cozying up to Michigan to the point that people believe that Duke may have sweetened the pot. I don't know what they mean by sweeten the pot, but they said sweeten the pot. That was the exact term that was used regarding Duke. So I'm putting that out there. That's an exclusive. You can take that one to the bank. Cozying up to Michigan. Michigan is obviously a big deal in the Big Ten. One of the top 2 brands. So we can put that out there as well.
Repeat that, Moan, if you would.
Duke is cozying up to Michigan to the point that other people in the Big Ten believe that Duke has, quote unquote, sweetened the pot.
Gee. So Duke's hoping that UNC goes to the SEC to jump in to be that North Carolina school for the Big Ten?
Or they're hoping that the Big Ten takes Duke over Virginia and you get UNC, Duke, Clemson, Notre Dame in the Big Ten.
Holy freaking cow. Okay, so Duke, let's move Duke up the pecking order here. So now Duke's at the front. So Duke, given that information, where does Duke fall on the pecking order here in the tiers? Are they a must-have? No. Are they a primary target or high-value fallback or a strategic ad?
They are a high value fallback, in my opinion. I'm putting them on the same level as Stanford.
Okay. I don't understand.
So Duke.
I'll defer to you guys. I don't.
What
Just
don't
to
you
say,
understand about Duke?
because it's on a whiteboard somewhere that somebody says they're a high value target.
I don't think
based
anybody's
on
saying
what?
I don't think anybody's saying they're a high value target. I'm just telling you from the intel I received, Duke is cozying up to Michigan to the point that people in the Big Ten believe they have sweetened the pot. We've heard it also before that Duke is apparently willing to forego any media money for the term of the media contract in order to get into the Big Ten.
I doubt they're
I don't
the
know if
only
that's
ones
true
that are
or not.
doing that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not, but
There's probably
it's
20
been put out there.
schools that have. I guarantee you, Utah would be in the same row to hoe when it comes to something like that. Look, at the end of the day, it's going to be do anything you can just to get into the club. It's not going to be whether they bring value themselves. It's they just want to be included into the
Conversation.
That's it. That's all
And
that's
I
about.
don't disagree with you. I think there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with you on that, Nate.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, this is kind of mind blowing.
You guys are putting a lot more value in just people talk than I am.
Yeah, you've got to feel out the room what the chatter is and everything. You got to do some analysis. Look, Duke, like elite academics, they're AAU, they fit that. They bring market. If UNC doesn't come along, bring the state of North Carolina. Elite basketball, strong brand. You can see why it checks the boxes. The football's horrid, though, guys. Like, and the stadium's small. It just doesn't seem Big Ten like at all.
Let's cut him a break. Manny Diaz took over last year, and he had a pretty damn good season for a first-year head coach. Now, Mike Elko did leave him a good team. I wouldn't say their football is horrid. They've had some good football programs in the past 10 years. Are they the same level as a Miami, Clemson, or North? Well, they're the same level as North Carolina, but I mean, are they the same level as a Miami or a Clemson? No, they're not. But you have to look at it this way. Again, they're another one of those schools that are in the Ivy Public League library system. Notre Dame likes academics. It's pretty clear from the fact they want UVA and UNC that they are keen to academics. Notre Dame might favor a Duke, especially if UNC isn't available.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to some community comments, and then we'll break out the last five here. This list is coming together, though, guys. It is.
We're getting there. Timothy Green, please, everyone, hit that like button, share, subscribe, and comment.
Please.
Thank you all so very much. Please, guys, absolutely. Give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share, give us a subscribe. If you're watching us over on Twitter /X/ whatever Elon calls it this week, head on over here to YouTube. Give us a subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. We're on our march to 5,000 subscribers. Let's try and get there by the end of September. I think that's our goal. We're trying to hit 5,000 by the end of September. So by all means, if you have not subscribed yet, please hit subscribe. Please share. Please tell your people out there to join in to the College Football Mafia. We got a great chat room. Lots of debate goes on in the chat room. Don't forget that. And if you want to help support us financially, keep the lights on around here, clicking the little cash icon will allow you to gift a membership, become a member. We're releasing all kinds of new member content all the time, data-driven member content. You definitely want to check it out. Or leave a super chat or a super sticker. You can do all those. All super chats get read. Thanks for everybody who has supported us thus far and anybody who wants to support us going forward. Thanks. Let's go on to our next comment. Chris G. Chris G is a Virginia Tech fan. UVA will not give you Virginia in football. Chris G. That's a
No.
hill Chris G. is willing to die on.
This is getting into the realm outside of football when we're talking about what UVA brings to the table. They bring prestige, they bring research, they bring elite academics, they bring DC. There's a lot of other factors there. They're close to the Big Ten. It's a pretty good fit culturally. And so, so they'd just be pounded on in the Big Ten Conference. As far as football, they wouldn't be a full share member, in my view. They'd be a half share member, maybe a quarter share member. But I still think that the Big Ten would want to pursue them for the market, for the growth market, in a large market in the state of Virginia.
I disagree with you. And the reason being, you've already got Maryland, you've already got a DC. You got a foothold in the DC market. You've got Maryland. You are doubling up markets taking Virginia, in my opinion.
Was Maryland in conference last time Virginia was offered?
They were offered, Virginia and North Carolina were offered before Maryland and Rutgers.
Okay.
So
that could be the case. So given that, going back to the tier maker here, okay, because we're on Virginia right now. So where does Virginia fall on the big board here?
Go ahead, Nate.
Last resort. Virginia, I don't see why the Big Ten needs to rush out to get them. I understand why they've talked about it with demographics and everything, but I don't see them or North Carolina being must-haves for the Big Ten like some other people do. So
I don't see them as must-haves. I see, but Virginia Tech or Virginia, I would put as a strategic ad.
So
I think strategic, that's fair. Strategic is a fair word, I think.
That is going against the current chatter, right? That Virginia's on the top 4 list.
Well, yeah, but it's a strategic ad in the sense that you want Notre Dame to come into the conference. If getting Virginia gets you into the conference, strategic ad.
I'm either at strategic ad or a high value fallback. I'll probably notch him ahead of Duke. Given you guys are both at strategic ads, let's throw them in that bucket ahead of ASU and KU. Number 1 over in strategic ads. Okay. And that leads next up to their in-state partner, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Moan, give me over.
We got a super chat. We got a super chat here from Charlie Casado. Again, thank you for the super chat, Charlie. It's much appreciated. Boston College
Charlie.
would be a better fit than UVA. Disagree.
Yeesh.
Boston is not a college football town. It just it isn't. You've got the New England Patriots. New England Patriots are everything. The Boston Celtics are everything. The hockey squad up there is everything. Boston is a pro sports town. And I'm not saying that Charlottesville is some huge college football mecca. It's not. But Boston is it's pro market. It's never been about the college athletics in that town. Just my opinion. What do you guys think?
I don't think. They're not even on the same. I don't even know where that's coming from. There's no way you can compare Boston College and Virginia.
Yeah, Boston College. What do they? I guess like they bring the Boston market.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about all you can say.
They
I
don't
think
really bring eyeballs brand. They're a good school, but UVA is better. Boston College wasn't in these top 15.
Well, let's be very clear. We're not talking that we're not devaluing the universities themselves. We're talking about realignment. We're talking about for athletics.
Right.
And that's all we're talking about. It's not about whether the university is highly valuable or all these universities are highly valuable.
100%. Right. It's just like you have to clear a certain value threshold to get in the Big Ten Conference, guys.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on here. Virginia Tech Hokies. The Virginia Tech Hokies. And Nate, why don't you do a breakdown quickly of Virginia Tech and the Big Ten? You know, your thought?
I think if you were looking for the best of the rest when we're talking about football value, I think Virginia Tech has a high limit threshold on football value. It'd be higher than where Maryland came in at, where Rutgers came in at. Is that enough to drive a realignment decision? I don't know. Each school or each conference has to make their decisions based on their own needs. But if I was just picking from an athletic standpoint, Virginia Tech could be I think they would be a strategic ad.
Moan?
Oh boy, I've already got Virginia Tech fans pissed at me. So do you.
Yeah.
I'm going to add them as a last resort. Listen. Maryland gets you the DC market. I don't know why you need a team in Virginia. The only reason you take Virginia, again, Notre Dame says we'll agree to join if Virginia joins. Then you take Virginia.
There you go.
Virginia Tech just seems like a Big 12 school to me.
Virginia Tech is a Big 12 school. Virginia Tech's only really in this tier maker because of the chatter that they would backpack off Virginia. Possibly, they're hoping at least to backpack off Virginia into the Big Ten Conference. If you look at all the metrics that the Big Ten wants, Virginia Tech falls short almost on every single one of them. I think we found our last spot with Virginia Tech so far. So really very, very unlikely that they get in the Big Ten Conference, but they are on this tier maker list because of the outside shot that they could try to backpack with Virginia into the Big Ten.
Absolutely. And before we get to Colorado, Fergie, our friend Fergie,
Hey.
18 buffs, with a
Ferg.
20-piece chicken McNugget.
Love
in
it.
chat, Colorado lobby, longtime AAU, medical center system, historic brand, 2 Heismans, a national championship, top 20 market, NFL city, congruent state, Nebraska rivalry, space research, and top space plus defense contractors. Huge, great airport. Yeah, Denver has a great airport. I can attest to that flying in there. Thank you for the super chat, Fergie. We're going to go ahead and yes, I added it today, a little bit of the Colorado fight song. So here you go, Fergie. Thank you for the super chat. We will now begin debate on Colorado. Again, if anybody else wants to leave a super chat, by all means, just click the little cash icon in the chat window, and you can leave a super chat from there. Thanks.
I'm going to drop
Thank
a
you
super
again,
chat
Fergie.
so we can re-talk about the Utes here. That's a genius move, Fergie, right there. To get this points up.
There you go.
And I think that I need to drop a super chat. Just kidding, guys. Like, seriously, that's genius, though. I love it, though. Your nails, like, I got to give Colorado its kudos here because I was really low on Colorado coming into this year as a realignment candidate. And that was based on my experience with the Buffs and the Buff fan base in the Pac-12. It was rough times in the Pac-12 for the Buffs. The fan base seemingly shrunk. Viewership was horrid, but things have changed a lot since Coach Brian was added. Like Fergie says, it's a good market, a growing market. It checks a lot of boxes. You've got some historical rivalries with Nebraska. It's another bridge to the LA schools, kind of like Utah is. I mean, just right there. Who are you going to choose, Colorado or Utah, if you're going to the mountain region? That's what you'd have to make the decision on. Where they fall on this big board will be interesting. Nate, where do you see Colorado falling?
I think they have value. I think the Big Ten would take them ahead of Arizona, ahead of a Utah, ahead of a TCU. The question is, at the end of the day, is the program worth more than just one head coach?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
And that's going to be the question. And each school and each conference is going to have to make up their own mind. I don't know. Deion's got health challenges, but it definitely has value. Just where do you put your value at? If I was to pick one over the other, I'd take Colorado over Arizona and Utah, though.
Okay. Moan?
Yeah, I think I would put Colorado between Virginia and Arizona State. Well, no, I'd take it back. I'd put them between Arizona State and Kansas is what I meant to say. I think Arizona State has a little more just because of the Arizona market, the growth in Arizona. Colorado, and Nate put this perfectly. It's the coach. Do I have a guarantee that Prime's going to be there for the next 5, 10, 15 years? Do I have a guarantee that the university is going to be able to replace Prime? I mean, it was just, a week ago we were talking about Prime potentially stepping down. Somebody started that rumor he was stepping down. How does that affect, Colorado? Are they prepared for when Prime steps down? So a lot of it does tie to Dion. So that's why I put Arizona State a little bit in front of Colorado on the strategic ads.
Yeah, I think that some of these strategic ads are very questionable. I still think the KU is an incredibly questionable strategic ad. I would definitely notch them behind Utah in last resort. KU, and then Colorado is going to be right next to Utah. Who do you want? And if you guys are saying Utah is a last resort, then Colorado is the last resort too. There's no way. Like Colorado outside of Prime and stuff doesn't really have that many amplifiers. Look, guys, when they were in the Pac-12 era, it was rough. No one was watching Colorado. No one cared about Colorado. No one would show up to their games. Like, we got to be honest about that. When Prime leaves, which will be in the next couple of years, don't get too short-sighted about a 100-year decision.
Oh, okay.
And so,
but in their defense, Fergie did give us a $20 super chat. But
Moan, that's not supposed to influence you.
I know it's not. You're right. I would probably put Colorado behind Kansas. At least Kansas basketball program goes back many years. I think any coach that comes into Kansas is going to be a good coach. They're going to care about that basketball program. So you've convinced me to move Colorado behind Kansas.
Kansas, they've got no business being a strategic ad, guys. Kansas. That's the biggest airball on this list, in my view.
Speaking of which,
Kansas wasn't high on my list. Kansas is, I think, their brand, but I don't think there's few of these schools that honestly we're stretching to even cover.
Stretching.
So speaking of which, Charlie Cazado with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Carl. He says, are we all forgetting that Kansas beat Colorado and BYU and has a brand new football stadium? They do have a brand new football stadium.
Yeah.
Very cool. Have you guys seen the new turf that they put down in there?
No,
with the
I have
wheat.
not.
Oh, you got to check it out. The wheat in the end zone. Vox Quindaro sent it to me. It looks fantastic. But I'll give you another Jayhawk squawk just because I like that sound effect, Charlie.
We like the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat. Yeah. I'm advocating for Kansas here, but these two Big 12 guys are advocating against you. So,
guys, I got a jet. I stayed a little bit past, so I appreciate you letting me hang around a little bit longer on a Friday night.
Hey.
We appreciate you sticking around, Nate.
Of course, yeah. Moen, what's going on next week? We got Big Ten preview, right?
Well, we've got Moen After Dark on Sunday this week, and that'll be with Rock and Rant. And I'm sure Rock and Rant's going to have a lot to say about Miami not being on that short list and the Miami-Wisconsin situation. So that should be a very fiery show on Sunday.
Miami's on my short list.
There you go.
Very, very short list.
So tune in at 8 p.m. when it comes to that. And then on Wednesday, so far on Wednesday, we have our Big Ten preview. It's going to be myself, Nate. Do we have a third yet, Nate?
No, I thought I was going to let you run. You can have however you want on the Big Ten preview. It's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll help if you want me to.
For a third? No, I can look.
Yeah.
Happy with a third person, then do you have anybody scheduled for Tuesday night?
Not yet, but I will. I'm going to do a Tuesday night show. There's a couple of ideas that I'm bantering about. I've got resources that are wanting to get on before the beginning of the season. But I'll probably get some of that out on Monday next week.
If not, Tuesday call-in show.
Tuesday call-in show. We can always fall back on those.
Show. I love the call-in shows with Nate. Everybody should tune into those. But that's what we got for next week. And then we'll have another big Frequent Friday show next week where I don't know what we're going to do. Let's do a Big 12 tier maker next week, guys. What do you think?
Sure, what the hell? Why
We
not?
might need to do that.
Unless anything breaks big,
Right.
we'll do a tier maker for the Big 12 next week on the Big Freaking
right.
Friday show. Thanks, Nate, for
right.
joining us. Staying
You
late.
guys have a
Nate.
great. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Peace.
And you can follow Nate at Big 12 Mafia, also
Mhm.
at the CFB Mafia on Twitter. Please follow him. He puts out a lot of stuff during the week. It would be good to, well, we got a lot of super chats that just flew in here. Let me get to some super chats first.
Tell me once for Utah. Dude, this Utah thing's not sitting well with me. The more I look at this, the more I'm getting irritated over here, Mo. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm an incredibly biased man. I try to apply, unbiased principles to the stuff, the community spoken, but I'm very hurt over here, Mo.
FF18 Buff says, guys, if top 7 teams are all ACC, why is it dying?
Media contract.
Because the bottom 10 teams in the ACC are really bad. And they signed a terrible media deal, Fergie. They really did. It just stability at a price, But thank you for the super chat, Fergie. Rockin' Rant says, breaking, we closed the U, respect our decision. I think he's already convinced that we'll do this.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
There you go. Rockin' Rant, I expect you on Sunday to and who knows, that list could be public tomorrow. We could see that actual image of the document. I expect you to be fired up and impassioned for Sunday's show, Rock. Tempest, 37-6-1 versus big conference schools. 3-0 versus Ohio State. Go Noles. That's true. You are 3-0 against Ohio State. I'm not going to deny
smokes,
that.
Really?
Ohio State still has 9 national championships. And thank you for the super chat, and we'll give you a little war chant.
All right. So it's time to get.
We got
to
one more.
State.
We got one more. Just a late one here. I gotta get a late super chat. Charlie Casado says nobody in Denver watched Colorado.
Moan,
there you
go.
Moan,
that's the case. I mean, Colorado, it was really rough times in the Pac-12.
I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
Nobody.
Colorado.
They were the worst view team before Prime. The worst view team in the Pac-12. Moan, you can't just ignore that. You are risking bringing on Colorado and having them as the worst viewership rated school in the Big Ten.
Let's put them on the board first before we get too over our heads into Colorado. Let's get them on the board first. Where do you want them, you?
Last resort.
I got them as a strategic ad.
We got to ask community, Moan. Where do they fall?
Let's start a
strategic
poll.
Ad.
We're gonna do Colorado. We'll let people decide. I've got a strategic ad. The Denver market, I think it's a strategic ad. You get the guys from South Park. Maybe the guys from South Park will do some stuff for the Big Ten. And,
that was nowhere in the Pac-12. Nowhere. Why is it all going to change in the Big Ten?
That was before Colorado was good.
Well, Colorado's going to struggle this year, Moan. They're going to be lucky to have a winning record.
Are they?
Yeah.
I think the Big 12 is the most wide open conference in college football. I think Colorado could surprise some people. That rookie quarterback could surprise some people. It's his first year. He's a frosh, but who knows? Maybe, Deion Sanders, dude, beat cancer. I'm not going to count him out. I'm not counting him out. But it seems like Chad is. So, Fergie, you've got to do something to rally Chad if you want Colorado to be in here. That's a strategic ad because it's almost 2-1 against Colorado. I'm going to give it 15 more seconds. And then we're going to decide. Whatever the chat decides, that's where we're putting it on the tier maker.
It's going to be last resort.
It's going to be last resort, guys. I'm sorry, Colorado fans. It's last resort. We'll let, you put them behind Utah. I don't agree with that. I would put Colorado in front of Utah in last resort.
Okay. You know what? Okay. Can we bring Kansas down yet?
No.
All right. Hey.
Where they're at.
Okay. Okay.
Town Hawk, $2 super chat says KU goes 2-0 over Team Wild U this year. Book it.
What?
I don't understand what 2-0 means.
He means that Utah and KU are going to be in the Big 12 championship.
I guess so. That must be what he's
if Utah lost back-to-back weeks to KU, because Utah plays KU the last week of the season, that'd be rough times in the Wild Ute household. Give him a squawk, though.
There you go. There's your squawk. Thank you for the super chat, Town Hawk. All right. Florida State Seminoles. We just had Tempest give us a super chat. Let's see where they rank.
All right, Moan. Florida State Seminoles.
I've got them as a high value fallback.
Huh?
I've got them as a high value fallback. I've got Miami in front of them. I think any Florida team goes to the Big Ten, it's Miami. Fallback, let's say Miami joins the SEC. Fallback is Florida State.
You need to flesh that out more. Give more rationale for this, Moan.
Okay, again, we're looking at this from a Big Ten standpoint. Big Ten standpoint, there are two schools available in Florida. One of them is the University of Miami, which is a private school. We don't have to deal with all the state politics. There were several Big Ten schools pissed off about the Santa Ono thing. So I think Miami being private, primary target. Florida State being a public school in Florida and having to deal with the politics, high value fallback.
Florida State is the crown jewel of realignment, Moan. Florida State is the crown jewel of realignment. Florida State is the crown jewel of realignment. This is what I mean. They might not be first on the Big Ten's big board, but they have the biggest swing factor of any of the schools that we've talked about. In the SEC tier maker or the Big Ten tier maker, this is the most explosive realignment move that could happen this cycle. Florida State in the Big Ten is a match made in heaven. It is. From a recruiting standpoint, from adding a new state standpoint, from football standpoint, from brand standpoint, from the crazy, amazing Florida State fan base. Florida State is the biggest value-add driver for athletics, especially for football, out of all these schools, in my view. So it's going to have the most amplifier effect out of everyone. They are not ahead of Notre Dame in the Big Ten eyes. Totally realize that. But I still see them as the crown jewel of realignment and going to have the biggest swing factor when it's all freaking said and done. Given that factor, I think that the Big Ten smarts up eventually, and when the decision's made and we're in a boardroom like this talking about, hey, let's just break down all these schools. You look at Florida State there, and you ain't passing on Florida State for Miami, for Clemson, for Duke. No chance, man. You're taking Florida State. I think that they're number 3 on the list behind UNC. Notre Dame number 1, UNC number 2, Florida State number 3. Ahead of Miami, I think you add the Florida State and Miami combo, but Florida State is the one that you got to go for first. Thoughts?
Yeah, we're going to run a poll on that. As soon as I get it to figure, as soon as I figure it out, I got high value fallback. I put Miami in front of Florida State. Private school, they already have hospital. They already have access to a hospital. That is a big deal to the Big Ten. They are already AAU. Miami has a very good airport, easy to get in and get out of. Tallahassee, yes, they're working on their airport. They have done a lot to improve the infrastructure in Tallahassee. but it's not quite the infrastructure of Miami. Miami also gives you a huge Latin America market. We've already seen the Big Ten move towards new markets. They're broadcasting a Michigan game in West German or in Germany all of a sudden. So I think internationally, I think Miami's the better target internationally. I've just got Miami in front of Florida State. I do. I think if the Big Ten's taking a school in Miami, they're taking Miami. Or if they're taking a school in Florida, they're taking Miami. If they're not taking a school in Florida, they're not taking a school in Florida. You know,
You can't just take Miami and leave them on an island in South Florida, way
Well,
away
you're
from
not.
everything
I mean, look,
else. Like, who else are
okay,
you going to have there?
let's say North Carolina and Virginia go to the SEC.
Right.
Then you
Okay.
grab Clemson. Now you've got two more schools. Miami could be one of those schools. Notre Dame has a history with Miami. Notre Dame could say, okay, we didn't get on that. Let's grab Miami. There you've got your travel partner for Miami and Clemson. And then Notre Dame could say, hey, let's get Stanford. And Stanford says, no, we don't want to join the goddamn Big Ten Academic Alliance. We're too damn good for you. Then you go and grab Duke, who does want to join the Big Ten Academic Alliance. And from the rumors we've heard, they want to pay their own way. So, I mean, in that scenario, I'm taking Miami in front of Florida State. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't think Florida State's a great ad. I just think Miami fits better in the Big Ten. I think it fits better with Notre Dame. And we've heard rumors too about Notre Dame having issues with Florida State. So
Right.
if Notre Dame's in, North Carolina and Virginia leave, they're not available. Even if Clemson leaves and they're not available, I think first on the list for Notre Dame would be Miami.
So I'm looking at this from a big board standpoint. Okay.
Sure.
So Notre Dame's first on the list. Then out of all these schools, I realize that UNC is the apple of the eye for the Big Ten and the SEC. I get that. I believe it. That's why they're there. Like Florida State's the sexiest logo up there. Just look up there. It's a sexier logo than like the Notre Dame. The fighting Mickeys over there. Like Florida State is the top-notch brand that the Big Ten needs and wants. It's Oregon on steroids. You added Oregon. Florida State is Oregon on steroids in better recruiting grounds. If you're going to add Oregon, why not add Florida State? It's insane that you'd pass on Florida State. It'd be the biggest realignment blunder in the history of realignment. And passing on Florida State. I just can't believe it. The data supports it. Like everything is like, hey, this is a no-brainer. Get this freaking done.
Here's the thing, you got to keep this in mind. I'm not saying Florida State's a bad school. Great school, great fan base, 3 national championships. But if Notre Dame is calling the shots and it's Florida State or Miami, it's Miami. It is. Miami has 5 national championships. They are AAU. They've got a big football brand. Yeah, they had some shitty hirings and they've been down for 20 years. But they got Mario Cristobal there now. Came very close to making the playoffs last year. Florida State had a down year last year. I just think Miami would be in front of Florida State. And I think Clemson would be in front of Florida State too. And I base that on the fact that Clemson is on the list of the 4 teams they're talking to. We get Florida State, I think, is an SEC school. I really do. I view Florida State as an SEC school.
We have to disagree on this one. What does the community say?
Community says 56-44. It's a primary target.
Okay. So they're in the primary target realm. Moan, you're supporting Miami over Florida State and Clemson over Florida State.
Yeah, I've got. If I was going to put Florida State on primary targets, it would be behind North Carolina, Miami, and Clemson.
I can understand your Miami argument. I cannot understand them being behind Clemson.
Okay.
I can't.
Here's my reason why.
Other than the Notre Dame relationship.
Notre Dame relationship, Clemson has better academics than Florida State right now.
Not really, though. It's not true, Moan. If you look at the list and stuff, Florida State's top 60, 70 school. Like Clemson's the same exact school. Florida State does more research than Clemson.
But look at the acceptance rate. The acceptance rates for Clemson is actually lower than the acceptance rates for Florida State. In addition, and I've put this out here, and I know Florida State fans hate me bringing it up, the Santa Ono decision by the Florida Board of Governors pissed off Big Ten people. It did. They don't want the state government doing an overreach and decide. The University of Florida decided they wanted Santa Ono. The governors came in and said, no, you can't do that. The Big Ten viewed that as an overreach. The Big Ten does not want to get involved in Florida State politics. They don't. They don't want Florida Board of Governors coming in and telling Florida State what they're going to do. The Big Ten doesn't like that.
I mean, you added California schools. What do you expect? When you had California schools, it's way worse than Florida. Like really, like you can't just say that and add 2 California-based schools. Like that's just that might be a nice to have, but that's not going to be a swing factor, Moan.
It is going to be a swing factor. I can tell you, it's going to be a swing factor. The Santa Ono thing pissed a lot of people in the Big Ten off.
That happened at the University of Florida, not Florida State.
It did, but you have to understand the Board of Governors controls Florida State and Florida. They do not control Miami. They do not control Clemson. So I think politically, yes, that weighs on some people. It does. And look, that's not Florida State's fault. I get it. It's the government of the state of Florida. Florida State has no control over it. Completely understand that. I understand. I get that. But the fact is, a lot of people in the Big Ten, especially people who have a lot of pull in the Big Ten, it pissed them off.
Okay, Moan. So here we go. I'll make you a bet right now about Florida State and realignment, whenever it does happen or it doesn't happen, okay? So if Florida State gets into the Big Ten Conference, then you have to chug a can of Skyline chili on a Big Freaking Friday show.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I don't care. I would do it. I'm just saying, though, I don't think Florida State is in front of Miami and Clemson. What do you do? No. Whoa. What are you going to do if Florida State doesn't make it in the Big Ten Conference?
I will chug a can of Skyline chili on the Big Freaking Friday show.
No. You've never had Skyline chili. I've had Skyline chili and I hate it. You got to go get one of the frozen Skyline chili meals with the spaghetti. You got to get a 4-way.
Oh my gosh.
Get the 4-way and then we'll talk. Then I'll chug a can of Skyline chili.
Skyline chili, man. Oh, that stuff sounds really gross. Hey, maybe we should throw down an MD 2020 on a Big Freaking Friday. Maybe that's
no, because I have to ship you the MD 2020. You forget that costs me money.
Okay, so Florida State. Okay, so you have them under primary targets in last position. I've got them in second position. Can we meet in the middle, Moan, and have them behind Miami and ahead of Clemson?
Well, no, because listen, I want Clemson in front of Miami. We're just going to list them as primary target, and that's it. Their primary target. If anybody wants to argue, leave a comment on the video, on the live stream. Leave a comment. I think it should be North Carolina, Clemson, Miami, Florida State. You believes it should be North Carolina, Florida State, Miami, Clemson.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll let the community decide after the fact in the comments. And we'll leave it here right now because it's meeting in the middle. Do you want, I'll give you this, Moan. Do you want Clemson in Miami's position right here? Or would you rather have Miami in the second position in primary targets? Florida State's got to be in the third.
Front.
Okay, so Miami's moved and notched back.
Just
okay.
Just based
So
on the
does
fact
that
that
look better?
Clemson is on this. Yes. Well, no. I don't like that either. I don't like that either.
What do you mean
I got
that?
Florida State. Florida State has to be behind Miami regardless. Listen, Miami's private. They don't have to deal with Florida State politics. They've already got access. I know Florida State's doing inroads to get into medical access. Miami already has a huge medical center there. No, I would prefer Miami in front of Florida State. And if that has to put Clemson to the back, push Clemson to the back. I got the U in front of Florida State.
Okay, so
and I'll take all the
going
hate from the
back.
Florida State fans.
I can live with this based on Clemson being a really terrible fit for the Big Ten. I think that no matter what's said about them, no matter what lists they're on, Clemson still is a head scratcher for the Big Ten Conference. More so than Florida State to me or Miami. So, okay.
Okay. So I'll just take the Florida State hate. I want the U in front of FSU.
I want FSU number uno, baby. Crown.
Yeah, you want them as a must-have in front of Notre Dame.
I would have them. If it weren't for you guys, I would have them as number one ahead of Notre Dame. My personal preference. But I'm a rational guy here, and this is a rational channel, and this is a rational analysis. So let's move on to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was all of the buzz about 3 to 6 months ago in realignment, especially for the Big Ten. What does Georgia Tech offer? It offers a great market, the Atlanta market. Really good academics, elite academics, strong research, a bridge down if you're going to go into Florida. There's a lot of things that Georgia Tech offer. And plus, culturally, Georgia Tech is actually fit for Big Ten, in my view and stuff. You're in the heart of the city, research-focused, aligned with a lot of same things that a lot of Big Ten universities, California-based universities are. So it fits in a lot of ways, but its football brand is average at best. It's getting better, of course, but it's not a TV driver historically for viewership. Its basketball brand's been down a long time. You're not really investing in sports here. You're investing in market and good academics and a great engineering program by adding Georgia Tech. What are your thoughts on Georgia Tech, Mo?
I think Georgia Tech's a great compromise pick. It might be a situation where you get votes in the Big Ten by adding Georgia Tech. Like you mentioned, Clemson is not AAU. Clemson does not have a lot of research. If it could be a compromise where, hey, we add Georgia Tech to get Clemson, again, assuming North Carolina and Virginia are taken, that the SEC scoops them up and the Big Ten has to make a move. Maybe it's Clemson, Duke, Georgia Tech, along with Notre Dame. I've got them as a high value fallback. The Atlanta market's huge.
Yeah,
but my problem is Clemson gets you a part of that Atlanta market.
Yeah. Clemson's an hour away.
Yeah, it's close enough to the Atlanta market. It gets you into the Atlanta market, in my opinion.
So you don't need them both.
You don't need them both. So again, if the SEC moves first and adds Virginia, North Carolina, Clemson, Florida State, well, we take these off the board, then you would have Notre Dame, the University of Miami, Stanford, Duke, followed by Georgia Tech, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's why I think they're a high-value fallback.
I think that I would notch Georgia Tech in between Stanford and Duke. And Stanford, again, is like that really sleepy dark horse Big Ten candidate that you could just see totally get into the Big Ten with like a Notre Dame or by themselves if they just capitulated on the academic Ivy League aspect. They control their own destiny in a lot of ways. Georgia Tech does not. Georgia Tech might sneak their way into the Big Ten, but there's no way they're on a big board. They're ahead of Stanford. No chance, in my view. Stanford's clearly ahead of them. I mean, Stanford's such a strong candidate. You could say they're a primary target. I mean, I'm serious.
I wouldn't say that. Listen, Stanford and the Big Ten have had negotiations before. Stanford doesn't want to give up that Ivy public league life, and that's fine. Duke apparently has chosen to do that. They're saying, listen, we'll leave the Ivy League and join the Big Ten Academic Alliance if you let us in. So, I mean, to me, Duke seems like a far more high-value fallback than Stanford. Stanford's already passed once, so I don't know. But I've got Georgia Tech as a high-value fallback, regardless of where they're put on that list.
Let's put Georgia Tech right in the middle.
Okay.
That look good to you?
That's fine with me,
You know
but
what?
we got to talk about Kansas. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I think Kansas,
Oh my gosh.
again,
Okay.
I think Kansas should be at the back of high value fallback. I don't believe it's a strategic ad. The basketball program brings enough value that if we're going to say Duke is a high value fallback, partially because of their basketball program, so should Kansas. Kansas is a nationally recognized, consistent basketball powerhouse. I think Kansas, again, I'm going to make this argument, Kansas needs to be at the end of high-value fallbacks.
We are so different on Kansas because if I had notched Kansas somewhere, it would be maybe behind Cal in last resorts ahead of Virginia Tech. To me, Kansas, like why? Kansas City market doesn't really bring a lot. It's not growing. You add a basketball brand, but the football ratings aren't great. Like it's just not. There's not enough value there to drive a realignment move. Its academics aren't that good. It's AAU. But
its academics are not that good. I agree, but they are AAU. Nebraska's not AAU.
Why though, Moan? Like just because are you more heavy on basketball?
The basketball brand brings value. I think they should be right behind Duke because Duke offers the same thing, basketball brand. Duke does offer Duke is a very small private school. Kansas is a large public school. It's in a contiguous state. And it's got a basketball brand. I mean, look, if we're high value fallback, right there, you put it in the name, value. If we're saying Stanford is high value because of their research, Georgia Tech is high value because of their location, Duke is high value because they've got a basketball program and they're going to pay their own way. Kansas should be high value because they've got a basketball program that rivals Duke. I mean, like, listen, Kansas and Duke are top 4 basketball brands. They are.
And how much
of
a media contract does basketball drive, though? Let's just get that out there.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. But look, you've got enough teams in front of Kansas here. You've got Notre Dame, North Carolina, Miami, Florida State, Clemson, Stanford, Georgia Tech, Duke. I think Kansas should be on high-value fallbacks.
I just can't get there with Kansas. I feel like they're really.
Then you have to move them in front. Ad. You have to move them top in front on strategic ads.
Over Virginia, who just
I get Virginia. I
been
get
offered
Virginia's,
before by the Big Ten.
I know. I get it. I 100% get it. But we're going on strategic ads. The Big Ten already has Maryland. They already get into the DC marketplace. Why do they need a second school to get into the DC marketplace? What does Virginia Tech bring? Their football sucks. Their basketball is up and down. I remember the one year they were a number 1 seed. They were the first number 1 seed to fall to a 16 seed. I think Kansas's basketball value is higher than Virginia's basketball value. So based on that, I would put Kansas in front of Virginia.
Okay. I think that you make a compelling argument to move Virginia back. And then we're talking about Arizona State. Yeah, let's talk about these Big 12 schools again. Okay. I think these need maybe a reevaluation mode here. Okay. So ASU, looking at ASU stacked against Kansas, Colorado, and Utah. What is the value add over those 3 other schools for ASU? Why are they in first position?
For me, Kansas's basketball brand. It's a huge basketball brand.
So you think KU should be ahead of ASU?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So you okay?
I think the basketball brand, they're both AAU schools. They're not fantastic academic. Along with Utah, they've been kind of sliding academically, but they're both AAU schools. Kansas has invested a huge amount of money in their football stadium. They've got a new football stadium. Their basketball program remains as a top-tier basketball program. I know last year wasn't fantastic for them, but it's still one of the top 4 basketball programs in the country. I think they have a lot more value than ASU.
Here is something that's difficult, but I am going to be honest about it. All the Pac-12 schools that have moved over to the Big 12 have taken a slide in the academic rankings, Moan.
Yes,
So
that's true.
And like, you got to understand, the academic rankings are largely, I mean, there's some influence that goes into there, right? And so if you're associated with Big 10 schools, Pac-12 schools, research-oriented schools, you're going to get more kudos in some areas. And so you need to consider the adjustments because of realignment that has happened to the Four Corner schools, right?
Sure, but I believe Kansas is in front of Utah, correct?
No.
Okay.
Kansas is behind Utah.
Okay.
And so is Arizona.
I know. I listen. I know you're a Utah homer. Tell me some legacy things about Arizona State, not named Jake Plummer.
Pat Tillman.
Pat Tillman. Okay. Who else?
Vontez Perfect.
Okay. What else?
Fun times in Tempe.
Okay, there you go. Tempe. You've got the market. Now, what were you telling me about Colorado?
Colorado offers you Coach Prime.
Coach Prime.
And
you can go back
some history.
You can go back to Coach. Yeah, Coach Mack, the national championship. You can absolutely go back to that. Not denying
Problem
that,
with Colorado. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, good. But outside of that, what are you going with Colorado?
I don't have Colorado ahead of Utah.
Okay.
I've got Utah.
And you're
ahead
a
of all
Utah
these
fan,
Pac-12
and you're a
schools.
Utah fan, and I know you're going to list off a bunch of Utah acclaims here, but I can remember Urban Meyer, the Sugar Bowl against Alabama, and I don't really have anything else that comes to mind when I think of Utah.
No Pac-12 championships. No stopping USC for years. No BCS buster.
Okay, you won the
2004.
Pac-12 championship a couple times. Again, that's not. I don't think that's in the national mind.
Okay, what's Colorado done in recent history?
But now you think of Kansas. Kansas has a basketball tradition that goes back 100+ years.
Sure.
Naismith.
They've got a brand.
I mean, the guy who invented basketball. They've got a huge basketball brand. So I'm going to put them in front of Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah. And I'm not trying to shit on any of those brands, but Kansas, as much as we want to say their football sucks, they have, kept a consistently successful basketball brand. And I think that should stand for something. That's why I've got them. I would put them on high-value fallbacks behind Duke. You want to put them on strategic ads, I'm fine with that. I think Kansas should be in the front.
I think Duke should. I mean, like, seriously, Duke in my own tier ranking would be notch lower. Duke, they've got money. They can buy you into the conference, but they've got
money. They've got huge research. Huge research. That's the thing with Duke. They've got huge research dollars. They're part of the Ivy Public League, but apparently they're willing to give that up to get into the Power 2. So I think Duke has a basketball brand plus huge research dollars. Now, Kansas does not have those research dollars.
Here.
Okay, let's get this.
I mean, like, did we get this right? Did we get this right? Like, that's what I want to know from the community.
Listen, when we carve this up as a video, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of comments from Florida State fans hating Mullen.
Oh, gosh.
Fergie, now that you have your tiers, would you guys say that these teams minus Cal plus BYU and Texas Tech would be a very good third conference.
Great.
Notre Dame boosts it way up. Give me South Park, Moen. Okay, you want some South Park. Let's get some television. Let's do Cartman when he was talking to the president of CU.
Student athletes. Oh, that is brilliant stuff.
Thank you for the super chat again, Fergie. It is much appreciated. I'm sorry. I got Kansas as the top Big 12 candidate. I apologize. Towtown Hawk says Leopold is going to body bag Utah in November.
You know what that's worth?
It's where the Jayhawks squawk. Tarleton.
Worth the Tarleton
there you
right
go.
there.
Pop that Tarleton cigarette in there. Thank you for the super chat, Towtown Hawk. Thank you, Fergie. Vox Quindaro says Sparky over KU is an egregious error.
Well, that was corrected apparently.
I think it's funny that you were talking about the DC market, but ignoring the largest football market in the nation, the great state of Texas, the biggest crazy to pass on the Lone Star State. Listen, if Texas A&M was available, I believe the Big Ten would want to get into the Lone Star State. TCU, we did the numbers back in April. It was a members only stream. If you remember, you can go watch it. The numbers just don't work for TCU. The school is too small. It's too small of an enrollment, not enough research, not enough academics. Yes, they've got a market, but there are other places out there that have a market and those two things, where they're a larger public university and they have a market and they have higher academics. Texas Tech, look, I'm just going to say this. Texas Tech being in Lubbock kills them. It absolutely kills them. And they've mentioned it before. They have to pay 30% more to get these recruits, these high-level recruits, to come to Lubbock over other schools that are in bigger metropolitan areas. So I just don't see a Texas school available for the Big Ten. That's my argument. What do you think, you?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm just looking at comments here. Soda Pop Kid, right on the money here. The Texas school would be A&M. And I wouldn't put it past them to jump. That is a fascinating comment. Moan was just speaking to it. I don't think there is a Big Ten caliber school in the Big 12 in the state of Texas. If UT Austin or Texas A&M wanted to go to the Big Ten, they'd be a shoo-in.
Yes, I don't disagree with that at all. Of course, if UT Texas Austin wanted to go, they would be number one. But listen, Texas A&M would also be another slot. I just don't think, and it's nothing against TCU or Texas Tech. I know people take it as that, but I just don't feel those are Big Ten schools. Clemson is on this list here, and I'm giving Clemson a pass because of their acceptance rate. Yeah, I know they suck on research, but
their acceptance rate.
Listen to me. This is a compromise vote. This is a compromise vote. We know Ohio State and Penn State are driving realignment. They gave in on Oregon and Washington. They didn't want Oregon in the conference, and I think that's proved out why they didn't want them in the conference. So I think it might be a situation where Notre Dame says, hey, we want in. And the Big Ten says, hey, we want Clemson in. We agree with you. I think you're going to get a compromised vote here. I don't think the four teams on the list, I don't believe North Carolina, Virginia, Notre Dame, and Clemson make it into the Big Ten. I think it might be more likely that it's Notre Dame, Clemson, Georgia Tech, Miami. Or Notre Dame, Clemson, Duke, Miami. Duke and Georgia Tech, I think, are going to be doing battle here. And Duke has the, again, they've got that basketball pedigree, but they do so much research. But so does Georgia Tech. So I think that's going to be, the battle. I think that's going to be the battle. Soda Pop Kid again says, I can see Notre Dame, Florida State, and Miami. Then I think A&M will jump. After that, I think it's over. Not every school, California, fit into big or SEC. Maybe that's supposed to say can fit into bigger SEC. Florida State will have AAU next 3 years. I don't agree with you, original. I don't disagree with you, I should say. I don't disagree with you. Problem is, it's a public school. means it has to deal with the public Florida Board of Governors. That Santa Ono thing pissed off a lot of people in the Big Ten. I think if they were getting into Miami, the preference would be a private school, which would be, or if they were getting into Florida, the preference would be a private school, which is Miami.
Hey, Mo, can I share something? I'm going to share a screen. I'm going to take our tier off. Something fascinating along the lines of this conversation here. Let me stop here. Stop screen. Okay, I'm going to add another screen share. So one of the best pieces of analysis that I ever came across was an article by a former company named 538. I don't even know if they're around anymore. The data analytics, Nate Silver used to be the CEO of that. 3 years ago this month, they did a Big Ten expansion model. It is the most comprehensive, excellent model as far as expansion ever built. It's actually the genesis of why I do well at university and the multi-criteria decision-making model. Because I read this, I'm like, this is awesome. And 3 years ago, so this information stale. It's 3 years old, right? It's not current, but it's interesting to see who was on their tier lists at that time. Okay, let's pull it up and take a look. And I'll put this in the comments too, so everyone can take a look at it if you'd like to. This was a 538 article. They're now owned by ABC, I believe. This was August 25th, 2022, so it is stale, 3 years old, okay? Where should the Big Ten expand next? We crunched the numbers. This thing was absolutely comprehensive. You can read the article and look at everything that went into this. There were 10, 20, 30 different metrics that went into this. And I just want to go down to really where they ended up stacking everything out here, okay? They considered market, they considered football, they considered a lot of things. Check it out. Tier 1.
Notre Dame.
3 years old, okay? Notre Dame. Is it by itself? That aligns perfectly with our tier, right? So we have Notre Dame in a must-have tier 1, just like this analysis did 3 years ago. Going down the no-brainers. North Carolina, Oregon, who ended up getting in the Big Ten, Florida State, and Washington, who got into the Big Ten. This was before they jumped to the Big Ten, y'all. No-brainers. North Carolina, Oregon, Florida State, Washington. Looking at the sports, looking at the fit, the market, and how they composite ranked it, Florida State was at the same par basically as Washington as far as a realignment candidate based on their research. So check it out. And our tier 2 that we just put together has North Carolina number 1 and Florida State as in that 4th position behind Miami. Interesting enough, it actually aligns with this pretty closely. Let's go to tier 3 now, okay? In their analysis. Clemson, Utah,
I was
Miami,
waiting for Utah.
Stanford, Cal. Yeah, well, you knew Utah. Utah actually, in a lot of ways, is a good Big Ten fit for fit-wise, right? But Clemson, interesting one, right? And Utah, Miami, Stanford, Cal, all these schools are on this list right here. Cal's fallen off a lot. Moen thinks Utah doesn't have a shot. Moen loves Miami and Clemson. Clemson, guess what? These guys love Clemson too. The fit is really low based on their fit ranking, but their market, other things they bring to the table, Clemson is going to be a Big Ten target for 100%. But then you're looking at their tier 4 candidates, okay? Their strategic reaches. They say Virginia. This is Arizona State pre-AAU. They would get a lift. Duke was down there. Colorado was low. Virginia Tech low. KU was way low on this list.
And we can eliminate some people. Missouri's not leaving the SEC. Pitt's not getting into the Big Ten because Penn State's going to block them.
Right. So you're looking at some of these, like the Georgia Techs and the Kansases, like that. Based on the data, this is stale, but based on the data that I see that I refresh, KU's just not a fit for Big Ten. And if on paper they're not. I get your points and everything, but they're not.
I get it, but
really aren't.
Who has the lowest? Let me put this way: who has the lowest fit in this tier?
Lowest fit in this tier would be Syracuse.
No, it would actually be TCU at 22, which is part of the point.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's right. My bad.
Huge
yeah, TCU.
Market, bad fit, 50-50 sports. We'll give them a 50% on the sports. I'll tick it up for them. But this is why it's just not a right fit. TCU's not a, and I get it. Big Ten needs to be in Texas. Well, maybe if the Big Ten goes to 24, they'll get into Texas. But right now, they're not getting into Texas. These teams just do not fit the Big Ten. Virginia is a 73. They fit. Kansas is a
Arizona's
62. They fit. And I get it. Kansas sports, they're putting a heavy thing on football, and Kansas football is traditionally awful. I don't disagree with that. But the basketball brand is traditionally very, very strong. I
this
think that should
considers
outweigh
basketball
something.
too.
Yes.
It's weighted, right?
Okay.
does
It's
consider
weighted
basketball,
towards
but-
football. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just
And here's the thing with Kansas. Look at the market, though, Moan. Like Kansas City
I get
is
it.
like a
I get
smaller
it.
market than you'd imagine. Like
I understand completely, which is why I have them as a high value fallback. I don't think they're in the top, but I think if something happens where they can't get all these, I think Kansas is a high value fallback for the Big Ten. It's a contiguous state. It has Big Ten culture, got a huge basketball brand. I think it fits. You guys don't. I completely side with you. The chat in the chat decided as well. I'm going to go ahead and defer to the chat. You guys voted and decided. In my opinion, it should be a high value fallback, but I completely understand why you have it where you have it.
so based on the tiers established years ago. Go ahead. Yeah.
Super chat from Towtown Hawk says, "You is so based, I mean biased, and based." Well, you know what? Since we've already done enough Jayhawk squawks tonight, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna you set all this up, and I want to thank you. We're gonna play a little something for you. And I'll give you a Jayhawk squawk anyway. Thank you for the super chat, Towtown Hawk. It is much appreciated.
Appreciate
sir.
that. Anyway, I just wanted to show this because I think this is still top-notch quality. It's stale, 3 years old, but like it actually aligns a lot with the tiers that we've established. It's just not so much on some candidates. Different
Sure,
tiers.
it's interesting. It's interesting, but I would go back. You're right. This is 2 years ago. That's before the Santa Ono thing happened.
Right.
I think that really hurt FSU, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Again, Florida State fans, flood the comments, please, with Moen is biased. Moen's wrong. Moen's stupid. Moen doesn't know anything. Moen, I don't know.
We love
I
you,
don't know.
Moen.
And Kansas fans, by the way, make sure you leave a bunch of comments saying Moen's right. Moen's a good guy. Moen knows what he's talking about. Moen likes Kansas. Moen, do more of the Jayhawk squawk. Give me some positive comments on there on the live feed as well. I would appreciate that. We're at 2 hours and 22 minutes. Let's see if we hit our goal. We did not hit our goal, so I don't think we're going to go into much more overtime, guys. We had a goal for 10 $5 super chats to get into overtime. We did not hit that. So we're going to have to end it up. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to carve this out. You're just going to make this as its own video, just like you did with the SEC, so we can put that out there so you guys can get right to it. But before we do that, do you have any final words you want to tell people?
I think we got a lot of the tier maker right. I think we had some airballs and disagreements on some candidates, but that's life. And that's exactly how this thing would actually work in a boardroom setting and everything. There's going to be some disagreements. Some schools, some presidents are going to want certain candidates, others, right? And like, so you have debate, you work it out just like this. But I love going through this exercise because it's really revealing to see the strengths and weaknesses and if a team can hold up, right, versus others. So good times, man.
Absolutely. This comment in here from Soda Pop Kid. I think the Big Ten has to take Florida State and Miami both. They could. It might be a situation. I just think Miami goes before Florida State. Tempest, who's a Florida State fan, says new viewers, please hit that sub and like button. It is free to do. Absolutely. We've got 134 people watching us on YouTube, 263 over on Twitter. If you're on Twitter /X/ whatever Elon wants to call it this week, please head over to our YouTube channel. It's the CFB Mafia on YouTube. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. We appreciate that. Okay, well, Opie wants us to do overtime, I guess. So we might have to do some overtime here, Opie. Just came over, am late, but here's your 5 for 5. We'll listen later. So now Opie is paid, so he gets to hear the good.
The super chats are coming in, Moan.
He gets to hear the LSU sounder. Here we go. Here's a good LSU sounder. So there you go. Go Black 45. If you're still watching, Opie D-Dom with the 25 piece wants us to continue to talk. And then we've got Summit Hawk.
Moan is king. Moan is king.
Thank you,
What?
Summit Hawk.
You got.
I got to get Kansas's fight song on here. I seriously do. But since I don't have it, let me give you a little of this intro. Could you imagine, Summit Hawk, if this plays before a Kansas game? Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Or
That's the CBS. That's the CBS college football team. You don't know that?
Okay,
That is
I don't watch a lot of
CBS's
SEC football. Just a little.
Yeah, that's Big Ten football now, but that's the intro for the 3:30 time slot. So we will go overtime.
Okay. I see what you're implying, Moan.
We're gonna go.
Moan is king. Moan is king.
Go overtime. We hit the goal more than hit the goal with Opie and Summit Hawk. Thank you guys. We're going to do a little overtime here, so we're going to read some comments. We're going to try to get to the last some of these comments from a little further back.
I want to know one thing, okay? I want to know out of all this tier list.
Is Texas Tech?
One sec, Moan, okay? This is a challenge to the community, okay? So you're looking at the tier list that we put together here. Where's the biggest airball? Where's the biggest error? Tell us right now so we can discuss it more and get it right.
And I'm going to tell you two different things here. Kansas deserves to be a high value fallback. Clemson deserves to be ahead of Florida State. That's all I'm saying. Look, I put them in front. I put Clemson in front of Miami, but that's just me. But what do you think the airballs are on my end?
Utes. Florida State.
I can't. Thank you.
Kansas.
Thank you, Amazing Blue. Mo and we agree on realignment. Much love. GB. I won't say it, but thank you, Amazing Blue. You did give me $100 one time to sing the fight song, and I've got a special Michigan sound for you, buddy. Here you go.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap, and the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson, and he scores on the last play of the game.
That'll probably be the last super chat Amazing Blue does for us, but I'll give you a real one, buddy. I'll give you a real one. We got some television ones that we added here this week. Here we go.
You can't do that.
I couldn't help it. Better
not drive a car. Take a bus.
If I can't drive a car, I better not drive a bus.
Little Barney Miller, and I'll give you a little WKRP as well.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
That's for all you Hokie fans out there.
Oh, the Hokies hate us, Bone.
I know.
They hate Wild Utes.
Talk about a passionate fan base. It is the Virginia Tech Hokies. I don't even have a Virginia Tech. Listen, Virginia Tech fans, I don't have a Virginia Tech sound on the board yet, but I do a hell of a turkey call.
Yeah, like gobble,
I do a hell of a turkey. Do a hell of a turkey call. I've called in turkey. I've been turkey hunting. I've called in turkeys before. Moen has a hell of a turkey call. I'm just saying it.
Please indulge
The super
us,
chat
Mound.
comes in from a
Think
Virginia.
they-
Super chat comes in from anybody who wants to hear the turkey call. I will do the turkey call. And it's a hell of a turkey call. We've already got that. Nate didn't unstar it. Nate didn't unstar that. Nate didn't understar it. Boy, I'm telling you what. Can't get a turkey call. 13-10 with under 60 yards passing mode. You got me. But you know what? 13-10 got us a national championship, Amazing Blue. So I'm going to take that. I think that loss against Michigan fueled them to get to the national championship. Let's give you a sounder here since we're on TV. Let's do Laszlo. Maybe this will change it.
Well, that changes pretty much fucking everything. Count me in.
Thank you for the super chat, Amazing Blue. I do appreciate you so much. Charlie Casado, remember when KU beat them in the 2008 Orange Bowl?
Ooh. Man, the Jayhawks are hot tonight, man.
Yeah,
They're loving
listen to
this.
this.
They are freaking loving this.
I think somebody better call the Special Victims Unit. That was a crime right there, what he just did on you. That was a crime. Special Victims Unit needs to talk by that. That's like a third-degree burn. Third-degree burn.
I tell you what,
there.
I feel very burned after this live show right here, you know.
Uh,
Like the Jayhawks, look, the love that the Jayhawk Nation has gotten tonight and last week with the SEC realignment tiers. Man. And Mona, you are hot. Loving the Jayhawks, those long legs.
Thank you so much. We're going to get more sounds on there as I get along. I mean, probably at some point I'll get every damn school on there. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm just trying to get a bunch of them on there that I can. I think we've kind of tapped out our max on TV and movies. But I've got a lot more, you know.
You got to let them cook.
There's different songs. Yeah, I mean, we've got to let them cook. But, I mean, there's songs that I haven't played yet on the team board yet. I've got Baylor. I've got Auburn. I got Alabama. We did Iowa earlier. We did the LSU Go Tigers for Opie. I got one for Maryland. I'm going to play you the one for Maryland, and you try and tell me what it is, okay, you? Do you know what that is, you?
That sounds like a tortoise making some. I bet it's probably mating sounds.
That is a tortoise having an orgasm, by the way. In case anybody was wondering what a tortoise having an orgasm sounds like, this is it, and this is the Maryland sound effect of D5 Terps gives. If anybody was wondering, that is the sound effect of a tortoise having an orgasm. Charlie Casado says, what about Iowa State? Here is the problem, Charlie. You've got Iowa in the Big Ten. Iowa's probably going to block Iowa State. Iowa State also surrendered AAU status. They were not kicked out, but they realized they were going to lose AAU status, and they did surrender it. So just put that out there, but thank you for the super chat, Charlie. I'll give you a Jayhawk squawk. Let's see what else we can give him. We've got some new TV sounds. Let's do this. Drinking.
Drinking should be done in the privacy of one's home, where it's necessary.
Thank you for the super chat, Charlie. Thank you for all your super chats tonight. You've been awesome. You've been firing it up for the Jayhawks. Tempest says 36-27, 1981. 34-17, 1982 in Columbus. 31-14 in the 97 Sugar Bowl. You know, the other two don't hurt me. The one in the Sugar Bowl hurts me just because it's John Cooper. That was probably the best team he assembled in his time at Ohio State. That should have been the national championship team. He could not get shit done against Michigan. Eddie George. There are so many superstars on that team. So many legends. But Thank you for that, Tempest. I already played you a war chant, so let's
Give
see.
more Florida State love. You've been
what's another war chant? You want another war chant? Okay, we'll give you another war chant. Yes, Florida State has dominated against Ohio State, but that doesn't change the fact that Ohio State has 9 national championships, guys. Just saying. One away from double digits. We're going to get there this year. We're going to win the national championship this year as well. Julian Sand going to have a tremendous arm. He's going to be targeting Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. It's going to be off the charts, people. Bet on Ohio State. I've got them finishing number 1 in the Big Ten. Undefeated.
Where do you have Maryland finish?
Let's get back to some comments here. Thank you again, Tempest, for that super chat. Why is North Carolina on the list? They're an SEC lock. They're talking to the Big Ten, obviously.
They
probably are going to go to the SEC. Yeah, we think they are, but they're on the short list that the Big Ten is talking to. And they're on the short list because apparently Notre Dame wants them to be there. So Notre Dame is apparently putting a big look at academics. They want North Carolina and Virginia, who are both public Ivies. And then they want Clemson, who is high academically. But again, they've got that scheduling agreement with Clemson, so it makes sense. Brandon Unruh, I hope I said that last name wrong. FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia to the SEC. Again, that's why I'm not eliminating Miami as a candidate for the Big Ten. I think if those 4 schools do get scooped up, I think Notre Dame would say, hey, let's get Miami. If Stanford wants to come along and give up that Ivy library system, Stanford would be on there, Duke would be on there, Georgia Tech might be on there. I also believe Kansas might be on there, but Ute doesn't believe that because Ute hates Kansas.
I do not hate Kansas. I'm the one who advocates for Kansas to the SEC all the time. Jayhawk Nation, just not the Big Ten. Just not the Big Ten.
Brandon Unruh says, I've got the big going to 24 teams just so they can break the ACC and finally get Notre Dame. I think it will be Miami, Duke, Georgia Tech, Cal, Stanford, Notre Dame. Good list. I don't, if the Big Ten was going to 24, I don't necessarily disagree with that list. I think that's a solid 24. My problem, Cal would be the one thing I would disagree with on there, I think. If you're taking Stanford, why are you taking Cal? Unless Notre Dame says, I want Cal.
Yeah, Cal. Long shot.
Yeah,
you're
it's
going to take
just
a bridge.
Amazing Blue thinks the Woe call is the worst game ever. It was pretty bad. I mean, you had the game 1. It was bad. It was bad. I hear you. But I couldn't resist because I knew at some point somebody was going to give and say, why don't you have a Michigan sounder? And that was my Michigan sounder. Florida Man says Florida State and Miami would be gold. Potentially. Mr. Monkey says Ute is about to cry.
You did
Only
cry.
out of laughter. Only out of laughter. He likes this tortoise orgasming sound. I just wonder how many people we've enlightened tonight what it sounds like when a tortoise orgasms. Soda Pop Kids says the Texas school would be A&M, and I wouldn't put it past them to jump.
Oh my gosh, Mo!
I don't think
that cannot be real. Wait, hold on.
That is real. No. Do you want to see? I can bring up the video.
I don't want to see anything. Okay, I don't want to see anything. I trust you. Okay.
I can bring up the video. It's legitimate. It's 100% real. That is a tortoise orgasming.
I'm glad that we have something for Maryland now, though.
Florida man says City of Tallahassee owns the hospital and airport in Tallahassee. If FSU buys hospital for $1 billion, they can improve import or airport even more. I agree. I think buying the hospital would be a fantastic first step for Florida State. Get a medical school on campus. There you go. I don't disagree. I think it would be a great ad for Florida State. I think that's something they should do.
Hey, Moan, Wildy's got to go, but you keep riffing it, okay?
Sure, I'll keep riffing it. We're going to go until 11
Take
o'clock
care, y'all.
tonight, guys. So we're going to do 20 more minutes. We've hit the goal. We're going to do 20 more minutes of show tonight. Just going to be me mowing. We're going to take that off the screen. We're going to take me down a little bit so I'm not so big. Is that a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in action? Not the type of action that you usually find the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in. Moen, how did you find that? I saw that on a YouTube video a long time ago. What a tortoise sounds like orgasming. And I typed in tortoise orgasm. And YouTube was very generous. There are lots of people who have different versions of the tortoise orgasming. I chose this one. Simply because it was the one that sounded most like me. Remember why A&M left the Big 12 for the SEC in the first place? I do remember. They left because they didn't want to be associated. Texas, the Longhorn Network, all that stuff went down. I completely understood why Texas A&M left. They did not want to have to deal with Texas, but I think it's a different time. There is no Texas Longhorn Network anymore. I think that changes things. And according to the vote that we were told, Texas was unanimously approved. So Texas A&M had to be in on that. Town Hawk thought it was a bad chainsaw. Yeah, it's not a very attractive sound. It's not a attractive sound, but listen, I've got a lot of fight songs for a lot of teams. I figured a tortoise sound effect would work for Maryland. We've got for North Carolina State, we got a howl. And then for South Carolina, though we don't have any South Carolina people that come in here a lot, we got a crow. So there you go. Tempest thinks it sounds like a demon. There you go. Soda Pop Kid believes that's why Texas A&M leaves the SEC now. I don't know. I might disagree with that. I can't see Texas A&M leaving the SEC for that. Moen's search history might get him blocked at the border despite being a citizen. Yeah, tortoise orgasm is going to be a hard one to explain at the border. So I'm going to have to show him the video on YouTube just to confirm to him that it is a tortoise orgasming with another tortoise. And that I'm not going to go to Canada for a while. Let's just put it that way. Turtle orgasm is VPN worthy. Tortoise orgasm, which I don't even know if tortoise is a terrapin, but hell, it's a funny sound. I liked it. Was that two donkeys going at it? No, just two tortoises. And only one tortoise was speaking. The other one was eating. I don't know if that was an insult to the other tortoise. Delta, American, FedEx, and UPS canceling all flights to Tallahassee Airport. They didn't know the airport is too hard to access. Again, it's about the amount of runways, Mitch, that are in Tallahassee Airport. There's a lot of times you have to circle and circle and circle before you can land. Notre Dame has actually mentioned travel to Tallahassee as an issue to the point that they land in Atlanta and take a bus to Tallahassee. So if the Big Ten is really trying to coax Notre Dame in, they're probably going to do everything that Notre Dame says. And if Notre Dame says we don't like traveling to Florida State, it's probably going to push Florida State out of there. Tatan Hawk says, I think it's pretty cool the Big 12 has 2 games on week 0 this year. A good showing early could pick up ratings over the season. I agree. I think the Big 12 should do more week 0 things. I think the Big 12 should do everything they can to get themselves presented as the only game in town in order to get those ratings up, get that notoriety up. As much as people complain about MACtion and how unfair it is to have teams play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, MAC and MACtion on ESPN gets pretty damn good ratings. So it gets those teams out there. I wouldn't hate the Big 12 doing more of that, maybe throwing a Thursday night game on ESPN, knowing that the NFL's on Amazon Prime. You're going to get a lot of people who don't have Amazon Prime. I don't have Amazon Prime. Occasionally I have it when it's a $1 shipping deal for a week and then I cancel it. So I think the Big 12 should do everything they possibly can to differentiate themselves from the Big 10 and the SEC. And if that includes more week 0 games, more funny dates, like, hey, a Friday night game, go for it. Moen, do it in a marathon show lasting almost as long as all the realignment talking. No, I have to pee at some point. I can't do that. Vox Quindaro says Tortoise's O-Face is a good band name. I would just go with Tortoisgasm. Just one long word, Tortoisgasm, Vox Quindaro. I think Tortoisgasm would be a great punk rock name. I don't get why you would think KU is a great match for the SEC, but not the Big Ten. Academics, culturally, KU fits the Big Ten. The thing KU brings, basketball blue blood, might be more valuable to Big Ten. Absolutely right, it would be valuable to Big Ten. Mr. Monkey says, I don't know how early you were listening, but I mentioned it before. Big Ten has not won a college football title in a long time. Michigan State has fallen off. Purdue has never got it done. Ohio State made the finals one year, did not get it done. Yeah, I think the Big Ten needs more basketball brands. So that's why I had Kansas as a high value fallback. I put them right next to Duke. Nate and Ute didn't feel that way. Chat didn't feel that way either. So I it was just me against the world on that one, Mr. Monkey says. Or maybe make Notre Dame, Florida State always in South Bend. You're going to have a hard time convincing Florida State to do that. And I wouldn't want to convince Florida State to do that. But, I'm just putting it out there that Notre Dame has complained about traveling to Tallahassee before. Charles M. says Kansas is a good match for both. I agree. Basketball blue bud. I don't think that that's going to happen, but we'll see. I do believe Kansas still stays in the Big 12, and I think they're the cornerstone of the Big 12. Clint Moses says, hell yeah, Big 12 Thursday, brother. Brandon Unruh says, why would Notre Dame be willing to travel to Miami and not Florida State? Again, Brandon, it has a lot to do with the Tallahassee airport. You do end up, and I've landed in Tallahassee, I've landed in Miami, I've taken flights to both locations before. You do end up spending a lot of time in the air in Tallahassee in order to land. They do not have as many runways. It's just, listen, the Miami airport is much bigger than Tallahassee. It is. So, or maybe Florida State plays Notre Dame at a neutral site. Again, but at that point, you would be making Florida State and Notre Dame permanent rivals. If Notre Dame's in the Big Ten, their permanent rival is going to be USC, obviously. And then it's going to be Clemson because they've got a 12-year agreement with them already. That's going to become a Big Ten conference game if both are in the Big Ten. And there you go. And if Clemson, for some reason, joins the SEC, the Big Ten and the SEC should get that scheduling agreement put together, and that will be part of the Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement. Big Ten Notre Dame versus an SEC Clemson. That's not true, Moen. There's 2 runways in Tallahassee, not enough flights going in there to cause delays. Someone has given you complete BS. I've circled there, Daniel. I've circled there simply because for job reasons. I've been to Tallahassee. I've been to Atlanta. I've been to Miami. You land faster in Miami. At least I did on both of the flights I've made there. So, but again, it's just a situation where Jack Swarbrick, you can look up the quote. I'm not making it up. Jack Swarbrick has complained about travel to Florida State. Now, he's no longer the AD at Notre Dame, but, you know, he has made that complaint before. Just think the SEC will want them more. I do agree. I think the SEC will want them more. For Clemson and Florida State, you have to look at it as big fish, little pond. Right now, they're big fish in a little pond. When they go to the SEC, they're going to be just the same size as every other fish in the pond. They're going to get what's called lost in the shuffle. Clemson may take that as a reason to join the Big Ten and say, hey, look, we're going to be part of this Southeastern Division. It's going to be less stressful for us to play a Big Ten schedule than an SEC schedule. It may boost us in recruiting. We can go into California and recruit California now. We can recruit the Midwest. We can recruit Pennsylvania and Ohio and Michigan a lot easier. So a lot of things to take in consideration for those schools as well. Florida State should not play Notre Dame in South Bend, play in Indianapolis. And I agree with you, Almighty Finn. I think Lucas Oil Stadium's a far better experience. Notre Dame fans, though, they're going to want touchdown Jesus. They're going to want the tradition. We was busy with old man Flugar. Well, I hope you learned a lot of stuff. And I appreciate Bengals Girl for coming in here and letting us know about what Greg was saying. She was listening to both shows at the same time. I know that's got to be confusing. Thank you for doing that for us, dear. Mr. Monkey says, Moan, you are wise. Well, I try. If I can't dazzle him with brilliance, I can at least baffle him with bullshit, Mr. Monkey says. They will not go to an odd number of schools. If I had to guess, it will be Virginia, Duke, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame. I think you have to get one more football brand in there. I just do. I have this feeling it's going to be 4, and it's going to be 2 football brands, 2 academic matches, maybe Notre Dame, Duke, Georgia Tech, Miami. Assuming Clemson goes to the SEC. No, I was with you, Mo. Kansas would be a great plan B for the Big Ten to increase the basketball brand. Yeah, I mean, that was my point to you. I don't understand. Kansas has such a big basketball brand to completely discount it. I think is unreasonable. And I'm not saying Kansas is going to the Big Ten. I think Kansas remains in the Big 12. I think the Big 12 should treat Kansas as a cornerstone program of the Big 12. But listen, I can't discount the way you, Nate, wanted to discount Kansas. I can't do it because we know the Big Ten has vetted Kansas before as well. The Big 12 has vetted Kansas several times. So you can't just treat and you saying, well, they asked North Carolina and Virginia last time, but they vetted Kansas at that same time. They vetted Kansas and Missouri the time before that. So, yeah, you can't do that. Never, ever, never ever heard this, Mo, and no one has flown into Atlanta and busted Tallahassee. You can check Jack Swarbrick's comment. Mitch Blanton, he actually made that statement. I didn't. So look, Jack Swarbrick, Tallahassee, you'll probably find that comment from him. He did in an interview. It's all Notre Dame bitching. To Masta, I don't disagree with you. But, I mean, the Big Ten wants Notre Dame. Notre Dame is going to get to call the shots. But if, it's a thing where if, let's say North Carolina and Virginia go to the SEC, and the SEC says, hey, guys, we're stopping at 18. At that point, what does Notre Dame say? Who do they take? Do they say at that point, yes, let's get a Miami. Let's get a football brand in here. We can compete with this natural rival, and let's take either Duke or Georgia Tech and hit that academic point. If you take Duke, you hit that academic point. You get the research. The rumors we've heard about Duke wanting to buy in and potentially sweeten the pot has sweetened the pot as well. Make a strong argument. Can't you just land in Jacksonville and drive west on I-10 to Tallahassee? I've actually never landed in Jacksonville, so I can't tell you. I landed in Tallahassee because we had business directly in Tallahassee. Tempest says Notre Dame is the conference killer. I don't necessarily disagree with that either. They are a conference killer, but they are the white whale for the Big Ten. They've, you even go back to the 90s because Joe Paterno and Penn State tried to convince Notre Dame to come into the Big Ten with them and be team number 12. And you can go back on this channel if you're a member and find my timeline video I did. I think if Notre Dame joins the Big Ten in 1993, I don't think the Big Ten ever takes Nebraska. I don't think the Big 12 ever breaks up. I don't think Nebraska leaves. I don't think any of those schools leave. I think it's a completely different sport at that point. I think the only thing that would actually change was Big East and ACC somebody had to eat there. Somebody had to eat there and dissolve the other one. But I think the Pac-12 would have been intact. I think the Big 10 would have been intact. I think the Big 12 would have been intact. But Notre Dame chose not to do that at that time. And that's what I think led to what we're at. Plus, they don't have to play every year. That's true. If you're, depending on if we're 22 or 20 teams, you're only going to play once every 3 to 4 years. So it would be, and actually, if you're doing a home and away, it would be once every 8 years. So definitely true. Tawtown Hawk says, fly into Destin, come for the sun, leave with the penicillin. I've never been to Destin, Florida, but I will take your word for it, Tawtown Hawk. I will take your word for it, dude. Why am I getting the feeling that there's not been any decision in the Big Ten? Because schools like Wisconsin are being stubborn as usual. Listen, Ohio State and Penn State are driving this round of realignment. But that being said, Wisconsin has a ton of pull in the Big Ten. They do. There are factions in the Big Ten. There are voting blocks in the Big Ten. Wisconsin has a big one. It's big enough that it would prevent you from getting a 75% vote without Wisconsin. Which is why I think Miami and Wisconsin need to get together, figure this shit out, and just settle that beef. It's a dumb hill to die on. Florida State can play Notre Dame in Orlando or Jacksonville, and we'd still fill up the stadium. I agree. I think that would be a hell of a game. I think in Jacksonville NFL stadium, that'd be a great game. You'd fill a lot of seats. Kansas plays Michigan State regularly. Kansas has played multiple homes with Ohio State, Michigan, and Indiana. KU has played UCLA in multiple made-for-TV and tourney games. Yes, listen, Kansas is a huge basketball brand. BYU is putting a lot of money in basketball. I'm not going to disagree with that, but they are not the brand that Kansas is yet. Yes, but North Carolina, Tennessee, Duke, all Kansas. I'd put Kansas in my top 4. I'd put Kansas in my top 4, but that's just me. I think Kansas is a top 4 basketball program in the country. Tata Hawk says till 2 weeks till kickoff. Here's a Jayhawk squawk. Swerbrick did make it. Yes, he actually talked about Tallahassee. That's the only reason I bring it up. Swerbrick brought it up about Tallahassee. I know Swerbrick's no longer the AD there. It's Bavacqua, but you have to imagine that still plays a part into him. Bitter because Florida State had the goods on Notre Dame and the sweetheart deals they had with the ACC. Swerbrick, that was. There you go. Charlie Casado, why are we talking about airports? Because Jack Swerbrick talked about airports, and Jack Swerbrick was the AD at Notre Dame. He is also involved in the Project Rudy system. So we have to talk about it because Swerbrick brought it up. Big should take Baylor, get into Texas. Great MBB, great women's basketball, decent college football. OSU won't be worried about losing. Easy way to get into the IH-35 corridor of Texas. Excellent recruiting. Again, I mean, if we go based off of this short list, Shooter TX, there's not even a Florida team on there. There's not. So, I mean, what makes you think that I just can't see them getting into Texas? If you're getting in anywhere first, I think you're getting into Florida. And if they don't have a Florida school on that short list, it's hard for me to believe that they'd want a Texas school. Why bus to Tallahassee from Atlanta? It's 300 miles and only a 45-minute flight from Atlanta. Again, that's not a statement I made, Florida man. That's a Jack Swerbrick statement. So I don't know. Vox Quindaro says, want to sell out, bring Kansas to town. Absolutely. That would probably pack Nationwide Arena for the Ohio State Buckeyes. What about Texas Tech and TCU for Big Ten? If Miami, why not TCU? If Nebraska, why not Texas Tech? Nebraska, when they brought them on, was a huge brand, Charles M. And I understand they've made some pretty piss poor coaching hires in the last 20 years. They're no longer the brand that was Tom Osborne's Nebraska. But if you go back a little in the show, I know you joined late. You pulled up a video or shared a screen with a previous, say, 2 years ago, Big Ten fit. And Texas or TCU had the lowest fit. They had TCU tier 3, and it was the lowest fit of Big Ten fitting into it. And I would put Texas Tech below TCU. TCU has a market going for it. Texas Tech has a problem of they don't have academics. They're not in a great market. They're just not a cultural fit for the Big Ten. And again, if you're not getting into Florida, I don't know why you're talking about Texas. Charlie says KU's new football stadium is so dope. I agree. I like the pattern in the end zone. Get a couple more here, and then I'm going to take off. Could Nebraska and Rutgers ever get kicked out of the Big Ten? I don't think anybody's getting kicked out of the Big Ten. I don't think anybody's getting kicked out of the SEC earlier either. I think those two conferences are going to keep everybody who is in there currently. Soda Pop Kid says not Tom Osborne's brand. Now my heart. They're not even Bo Pelini's brand. And we've talked about this several times. That Bo Pelini firing was stupid. And I've met Bo Pelini, and he's a raging asshole, and I have nothing good to say about Bo Pelini, but he won you 8 or 9 games a season. and they have not had a coach that's done that since. Just turned on who is on the Big Ten list. According to Greg Pflugar, the list is Notre Dame, North Carolina, Virginia, and Clemson as of right now. And that is based on Notre Dame wanting those 3 schools on the list. So that doesn't mean that they're going to get those schools. They very well could lose North Carolina and Virginia, and that could be a situation where a Miami or a Florida State or a Georgia Tech gets in there. Chris Sadowski says, I believe Notre Dame, UNC, Virginia, Clemson. That's correct. Even with bad performance, Nebraska still draws eyeballs, still sells out that stadium. No matter how bad that team is, they have a huge running tally of sellouts for Nebraska home football games. Thanks for being a KU defender. Yeah, to me, it makes sense. The Mike Riley and Scott Frost hiring were stupid. So were Brian Callahan. I'll be honest with you. Getting rid of Frank Solich was a bad idea. I think Frank Solich was a great coach there. He went on to be a great coach at Ohio University. I think if Nebraska would have given him a little more time, I think he could have probably nailed it down. But hey, that's Nebraska. Nebraska has too good of ratings to kick them out. Absolutely right. The Sea of Red is an undeniable thing. I don't disagree with you there. Moan, if KU wins Big 12 in football 2025, which tier? I'm still going to put them in high value fallback. I would still put them in high value fallback. There's just more valuable brands in the ACC in front of them. But again, I'm not going to, I'm going to defend Kansas. I mean, the basketball program, I think, brings enough value. Yeah, their academics have slipped, but adding them to the Big Ten Academic Alliance will bring those academics up. And I think the school will do more to improve academics and improve research. So that's why I have them as a high-value fallback. I'd put them in front. Like I said, I'd put them at the top of my high-value fallbacks or at least put them on the same level as a Duke. And there is your Jayhawk squawk. C. Curtis says Nebraska will not be down much longer. I think that's a work in progress. I have to wait and see on Dylan Raiola. I'm not willing to give him a pass yet. He's indecisive. He was indecisive in high school, his college commitment, and I think he's indecisive in passing too. So we'll see. Let's do one more. Agree on Solich, Moan. Yeah, I think Solich was a great coach. He did wonderful things at the Ohio University. Nebraska, I think, gave up too early on him. But they've paid the price for it. So thank you, C. Curtis, for that comment. I will go ahead. We have been on the air for a total of 3 hours and 7 minutes now. I want to thank everybody who has joined us tonight. In particular, I want to thank Tawtown Hawk, OPD Don, Charlie Casado with a lot of super chats. Nitwit, thank you, Nitwit, dude. FF18 buffs, thank you, Fergie. Rock and Rant with his super chat. Tempest with a super chat. And I think that's pretty much it. We've got Summit Hawk with a super chat. Amazing Blue with a couple super chats. And Tempest with another super chat. We've got a lot of super chats tonight. You guys hit the goal. We did overtime. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. We will have a show on Sunday night at 8 p.m. Myself and Rock and Rant. I'm sure Rock and Rant has a lot to say. A lot to say about this news regarding Miami. So you will definitely want to tune in to watch that. For myself, for Nate, for Wild Youth, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this special Big Freaking Friday show. We will catch you guys next Friday at 8 p.m. Otherwise, I will see you guys Sunday at 8 p.m. Peace out.